Hello there and welcome to the FNCS Finals. It's here. It's game day. We're finally here. It is going to be an incredible weekend of Fortnite action. We cannot wait to bring it to you. My name is Adam Savage. I'm delighted to be your host. I'm filling in for Zeke today, but while Zeke is away, Savage shall play. We've had 4 weeks of just non-stop Fortnite action. We're all here now, though, for the final 2 days. 6 games per day. Today, day 1, and tomorrow, day 2. All the regions across this multinational event, and here on the broadcast, you're going to see the EU first 6 games, followed by the NA East and then the NA West. It's not just me, though. We have an esteemed collection of the greatest casters, analysts in the world. I'm really hyping you up here, guys. I'm joined here. The Brits have officially invaded on this stream here as well. We have the mighty Reese and the mighty Levin. Gentlemen, it's finals day, baby.
It's finals day. I love finals. Let's be real, finals are the best. You know, last week we had the semi-finals and the reboot round, and I was wondering if after the reboot round hype, are we going to be able to top that coming into finals? Absolutely, blown out of the park. Finals are the best.
Yeah, 100%, man. Whether the odds are in your favor or the odds are against you, you know, all the preparation, all the practice that's gone into the season, it all counts for this weekend. You know, there's going to be a lot of people feeling pressure. I'm feeling pressure. I'm nervous. I don't know what's going to happen, but, you know, you just want to have a good weekend, and I can't wait to see how it all unfolds.
Honestly, the energy, you could just feel that everyone is so excited to see this, because this is what it comes down to, okay? It's the bragging rights, amazing, but there's also incredible prizes. There's so much. The Acts of Champions, there's so much to cover. But obviously, I mentioned it before. Just to recap, today is day number 1. The first 6 games are going to happen today. The previous weeks, there's 6 games in total. Today, 6 games on day 1. Tomorrow are the final 6 games, so 12 in total across all the different regions. Let's look at the format specifically here. Kick us off, Reese. What can we look forward to?
So we've seen this a lot, but we are currently in the finals. We've mentioned it about 19 times at this point, but we're all excited. We're in the finals day 1. Remember, 6 games today, 6 games tomorrow. But to get here, the teams that we've seen are the best 33 teams out of the qualifiers and then the semi-finals. There was 3 weeks of qualifiers with 4 rounds each, which then brought the best 132 teams into that semi-final stage. It was split into 4 heats, top 8 from each heat, which if you've done your mental maths, 32 teams made it through to the finals. But that one last slot was filled by the reboot match, which was incredibly exciting. That was Diablo's team. So if you look at them in the leaderboards today, they're the guys who made it through the reboot round with that big victory royale. We are in the finals now, and it's all to play for. The Acts of Champion, the bragging rights, and all the money.
Reese puts it perfectly. How are they actually going to be able to get the Acts of Champions, right? If you take a look at the bottom right of your screen, players will receive 2 points per every single elimination. Teams will get 1 point per placement once they hit 17th, and that's going to continue all the way up till 4th place, right? You get 1 point per placement, and once you hit top 3, you'll get a massive jump of 6, then 5 for second, then another 5 for the victory royale, totaling 30 placement points for that victory royale. Top heavy system, right? We're going to see so many players looking to do everything they can to try and get themselves into the top 3, because it is incredibly rewarding to do so.
Absolutely. I mean, we're looking at eliminations there. Some serious points, but those placings as well, massive. Let's look at pricing as well. Reese, we are talking about a lot of moolah here, my friend. A lot of cheddar.
This is some serious pocket change, some nice wonga. In that first place slot, $300,000. for first place in EU region. Absolutely incredible. And you know, there's 3 players in each team, so that's $100,000 to each player. And every single team that is participating here has made it to the point where they're going to be making some prize monies. You see, even the bottom teams are going to be getting 3K, so 1K each total. So every team is being rewarded. Just notice once you hit that top 10, that's when it starts going up every single time. So every single placement you get above 10 is more and more prize money.
And a lot of V-Bucks.
A lot of V-Bucks. I'm loving we're using wonga, cheddar, a lot of Britishes, like kind of colloquialisms here. This is good. I like this. We're really bringing the European vibe to proceedings here. Speaking of Europe, speaking of different regions, of course, this is a competition that's going on across the world right now. Let's take a look at the other FNCS finals currently going on and how things currently stand. Walk us through this, chaps.
So in our first place slot, we're going to be looking at Asia finals. Remember, they've already finished their first 6 games because of time zone differences. So in the first place currently is QJack, Nator, and Alice. I know QJack is our FNCS Invitational Champion in that first place slot. Performed very, very well. You know, really consistent low ground team. Not picking up any victory royales, but just very, very consistent. And in our second place, we have Fram. So Fram and his trio are actually the solo FNCS champions. So in our first and second place slot, we currently have 2 ex-FNCS champions battling it out, and they're so close, only 6 points between them.
And that's not where the FNCS champions ran out, right? If you take a look at 7th place here on your screen, Rory, Moffin, and Bob were the trio FNCS champions of last season. And so far, right, not where they're going to want to be, right? They're going to try look to repeat. And so it's up to them to sort of step things up tomorrow. There are still 6 games left. So, you know, being in top 10 alone isn't bad, right? You're still going to let a lot of prizing for that. But these guys are going to want to take home the Axe of Champions once again. And so hopefully we can see them sort of pick things up tomorrow.
Yeah, and you know, there's nothing better than hitting that 2-time in a row. And moving over to the OCE finals region right now, we know Sorif, Volks, and Sync. What a performance coming out of them on day 1. 203 points, 2 victory rounds, and 43 eliminations total. You know, there is a huge gap between them and second. Do you think another team can catch up to them, Levin?
It's going to be difficult. It's going to be no easy task because they were amazing to watch. But if anybody can do it, you would think it would be Jinx, Alec, and Worthy, who are sitting in 9th place. Those guys had a slower start to what we're used to seeing from them. They did actually pick up the victory out in that 6th game. And so hopefully, right, they can sort of turn things around now, sort of step things up, right? Because there are those 6 games left. These guys, you know, are going to want to try and win FNCS because, you know, we've seen them just completely dominate their region on countless occasions. Hopefully, though, we can see them sort of continue on the form of the final game.
203 points after 6 games is absolute madness. Absolute madness. But I love it. We've seen some of the teams there. I mean, consistency clearly is key here. We're seeing teams that we know about already who are still there at the top, still delivering the goods every time. But predictions, of course, is what we love here on FNCS as well. We want to know exactly who you guys, our casters, analysts, think are going to go the distance. Let's take a look at these as well.
Yeah, Reese and I have gone for the same pick, and I'm sure it's no surprise. Hen, Janice, and Chapix. We both picked them because generally these guys have just been in scintillating form this season. I've not seen many teams perform at the standard these guys have been able to upkeep. You know, first in the first qualifier week, countless success in many competitions. You know, I've spoken to Hen, right? Hen's really excited. He's really confident. These guys have been putting in so much work. They've been joining custom games just as a trio, right, to practice their drop spot, practice different rotations of different zones. They've even been getting help from a mental coach, right, trying to figure out what makes each other tick, just trying to be in perfect harmony for the grand finals, and I'm confident in their ability to perform over the 12 games.
Yeah, you know what? That's why I picked them too. Let's be real. Me and Levin, biggest brains, biggest heads here. We are making those top predictions, but you know, Shio and Sancho, good picks all around as well. You know, Shio going with Flick, Anas, and Thomas HD. Let's be real. Their drop spot of Dirty Docks was going to be contested. They were going to have 2 teams landing on them, but after their huge performance coming out of their heat, picking up 26 eliminations and a 2nd place in a game, plus a 17 elimination victory royale and a 13 elimination victory royale, every other team has said, you know what? I'm not landing here. You always can have that place to yourself, so definitely a top pick.
Yeah, and Sancho's obviously gone with iDrop, Tayson, and Mr. Savage. No surprise there, right? These guys are also another one of those teams that have just been in incredible form this season. And look, we talked about back-to-back FNCS champions with some of the other regions. You know, Tayson's going to be looking to make it back-to-back-to-back. He wants to be a 3-time FNCS champion, looking for the 3 pit. If anybody could, it would be Tayson. And so I'm super excited to see how these guys perform today.
I mean, would you say, if Tayson hits the 3-peat, as we so beautifully put it, are you going to say that Tayson is now the best player in the world?
Look, it's one of those conversations everybody's been having of late, and I'm not surprised, right? Because, you know, we've never seen anything like this. We've never seen somebody be able to sort of dominate over the course of such a stretch of time the way he has, and so definitely would be warranted, right? I'm not going to, you know, say anything now. I'm not going to say anything too soon, but definitely something to keep your eye on over the course of the 12 games.
Yeah, certainly. And, you know, I'm not allowed to be biased at all. I have to be completely vanilla as host here. But when one of the teams, Sancho's team, has chosen players, with one of them literally has the name on my driving license, I have to kind of go, okay, all right, I'm just saying. Let's look at other teams as well. Of course, you guys had your predictions there, and those are the teams you think are going to go the distance. But there are so many teams that we need to also give a moment and the spotlight to as well. Let's walk through some of them now, chaps. Other teams that the fans at home can look forward to seeing compete here, who really do stand a chance going all the way towards the Axe as well.
Okay, I'm going to put it out. There's like 5 teams right now who are all so close up at the top, right? We've kind of mentioned a few of them already. One of them was what we've not dropped a name on is Andalex's trio. Andalex, Snazy, and X-Squeeze. unbelievable players, just absolutely unbelievable. Last season, rather than having Snazy on their team, they had Janice. However, they placed second, and through the entire of the finals last season, they were battling out for that first place slot, and it all went down to the wire in their final game in Game 12, where they just missed out on being the champions, so they would come back reigning champions. Today, and throughout this entire FNCS, they've placed incredibly well. They placed second and third so far in their qualifier, and then in their heat, second and third. So huge performances out of them so far. And anyone that's saying these guys might not be a top team, wrong.
Yeah, honestly, those guys are spectacular. You know, when I spoke to Analyx today, he was saying, like, he worried me a bit, because he started off, he said, Devin, I'm not going to lie, I'm feeling a bit nervous. Like, you know, there's a lot of stress right now. I was thinking, Analyx, well, you're one of the best players, you know, to play the game. And he did say, look, this is something he feels almost every tournament, right? Every big tournament, he does sort of have this nervous energy, but he's always able to convert it into some form of success. And we've seen him do it time and time again. It's going to be really interesting to see how things play out with this trio. Last season, they were incredibly successful playing with Janice, right? But that trio, some of the rumblings around that trio was the fact that there were some communication issues there, right? You have Exqueeze and Andalex, who are both French players. Native tongue is French. And you had Janice, who obviously isn't French, so things sort of were a bit off there. And from what I know now with these guys, having Snazy, who's also French, being able to just speak your native tongue, have those sort of clear communications has just been a lot better for them. They're feeling a lot, you know, better as a trio, and I'm sure that's going to convert to some sort of success this weekend.
Yeah, and one of the other things, you know, there's so many teams. We could sit here and ramble about teams and teams and teams, right?
So many teams.
But one of the other teams that we're obviously going to be looking out for right now is everyone's favorite, let's be real, Benjyfish's team. ADN and Amplified as well. And Amplified Matzo. Apologies, I'm getting all their trios mixed up at this point. You know, at this point, Amplified Matzo, what huge performance. These guys have been playing every single team FNCS together. You know, I think these guys are what I would actually define as an underrated trio, right? People don't talk about how good these guys truly are. And, you know, they've meshed with Benjyfish at this point, and anyone who's a fan has been watching knows that the curse of Benjyfish when it comes to finals, you know, I don't want to call it that, but that's what the people have called it. He's performed so well in so many of these finals, but hasn't managed to claim that first place slot just yet. So he's definitely going to be vouching for that today.
Yeah, another team, right? If you're somebody who, we've mentioned a lot of the bigger names, right? If you're somebody who you like to root for some underdogs, root for some people who maybe not many people are talking about, pay attention to my guys Pablo Wingo, Downs, and ETQ, who are landing towards Holly Hedges. These guys are an incredibly underrated trio, criminally underrated per se, right? These guys are spectacular. They understand the fundamentals of the game incredibly well. They're one of the trios who I expect to see do well, you know, so, you know, pay attention to these guys. They should be popping up on some radars today.
Certainly. I mean, very quickly, guys, before we go into game one, which is imminent, by the way. You've been here since the very get-go, from the very first qualifier all the way through. In terms of this weekend, obviously, those have been 6 games, those qualifiers. This is now 12. Are we going to see our teams change strat at all going into this thing? They've got so much more kind of breathing room now to kind of change things up, be it landing zones, whatever it might be. Do you think they're going to stick to what they know for now, and maybe we're going to see some changes after a few games?
Definitely, and that's the beauty of a 2-day system. You know, over the course of this entire qualifiers and in the semifinals, you know, we've seen the teams who performed really well in that first qualifier. 9 of those 10 teams have made it through to the finals. So these guys had their plan on lockdown. They knew what they were doing. You know, the likes of Hen, Janice, and Japix, they have their plan sorted at that point. It's just about finessing it and making it perfect. However, you know, some of these other teams who only got better as the qualifiers went on, they're definitely not got their plan as adapted. So for these trios, if it doesn't work in day 1, coming into day 2, they're definitely gonna have to change something up, maybe change their drop spot, something they're more familiar with, maybe take different routes. You know, we are gonna see definitely a difference between day 1 onto day 2.
Yeah, I think a 6-game format sort of benefits sort of these sort of momentum teams, right? Teams who have the ability to just pop off after a couple games, right? 3 or 2 games, they pop off and it's enough to push them over the edge. Over 12 games, right? You're going to have to be relatively consistent. We've seen in other regions, right? We've seen in OCE where you can't get away with just, starting off slow. You're going to have to sort of keep the pressure up, keep the pace up over the course of the 12 games. And so who's going to be able to do that? The likes of Cami, Seti, and Teak, Mr. Consistency per se, right? These guys have the ability to do that kind of thing where they are just super consistent over the course of 12 games. And so who's going to be able to do that? We will see. I'm super excited though, Adam.
Dude, I can't wait. I think that's everyone at home, I'm sure as well, watching this, cannot wait to see, we want to see eliminations. We want to see the action really unfold here. But when we look at those points, when we look at placements and how important it is to make it into the top 3 spots in particular, the buffer you can get away from the rest of the competition makes such a massive difference. It really does. And I think that's what we can't wait to see. As you mentioned, 12 games, so much opportunity to see the table just fluctuate. Every game, someone could be leading the scoreboard. But it is time. It is time. I'm getting the cue to say game 1 is ready to rock roll. The FNCS finals, the EU edition, starts right here, right now. It's over to our comrades, the casting extraordinaires that are Sancho and Shayo. Boys, take it away.
Adam, Reese, and Levin, the smartest analyst desk in the world. Thank you so much. Welcome to the European Finals Day number 1. It is Shayo, Adrian, and Sancho West to take you through this crazy ride. And Sancho, that first game is where everyone has a set game plan and they don't want to falter.
It's all about the start, man. I know this is going to be a marathon. We're talking about 12 games over 2 days, but it's your first foot, and you want that first foot put forward to be your best one.
Absolutely. They had many other teams qualified through different spots on the map. Now they're faced against Titans. We have teams who haven't played against each other at all for the first time due to the format of this FNCS, right? Some major teams. And here is where they land on the first foot. We're tuning in with Flick, Anas, Thomas HD, but there's so many stories all around the map. 33 teams start their journey right here, right now.
You talk about Titans out there in the EU region. Well, folks, let me introduce to you, if you haven't been watching any of the FNCS season, the Titan Slayers in Flick, Thomas HD, and Anas. We're talking about 26 E-limbs in one match in one of the most stacked heats ever. And boy, oh boy, already Nox and E-limbs are happening so fast. Melgar picking up on Knifer and Patty.
That console squad going down, obviously all of them playing on PC now, but had much success in the past. Adjustments will be made for game 2, but yeah, for this trio in specific, absolutely unleashed, as you can see on the mini map. This is not the usual thing we get to see from Flick, Anas, and Thomas HD. Almost every FNCS, these guys have had to fight for the right to play on the island. This time their chains are broken. They are loose to play and have fun around the map. When these guys are uncontested at their drop spot, it is a completely different game, and they're so hard to contain. Meanwhile, though, if we're going on that theme of contested versus uncontested, Steamy Stacks on paper had 3 different teams in and around it, and right now, there's always going to be a fight for Refsguard, Andretta, and Scram to win.
And now we're talking about how stacked this is. Take a look at the rest of the field. The teams today collectively have over 167 FNCS finals appearances, but now it's about who's going to walk away with the Axe of Champions this time around. Now, this is no stranger to the scene, Chayo. Andretta's trio and Lame's trios have had these battles before. The question is, can they do it here today on the final stage?
They got trumped completely. This is actually the most interesting thing as well. Savage, Tayson, iDrop, haven't seen too much of them other than just qualifier 1 on the main broadcast, so to speak, but they were going to get contested possibly by Jerker. It's not going to be there this time for Jerky. It's going to be all the way in Steamy Stacks, the fight breaking out. Lame did have position up on the high portion of the stack, but it doesn't matter because these guys, Refsguard, Andretta, and Scram, never really lose off of drop against the best teams.
We're seeing the first shield cracks and the first green tags here against Robnick's trio, and this is the kind of start that you want for Refsguard and Jetta Scram. You do not want to kind of buckle right here at the start of your journey. This is going to be a big engagement, and it's going to also condition. There's going to be huge conditioning happening in these set of 12 games. So if Refsguard and Jetta Scram could have this uncontested, man, they're going to be very dangerous going forward, considering that they work so well on the mid ground.
And Steamy Stacks isn't really a seesaw drop spot. What I mean by that is sometimes in drops, a team can win and the other team gets a little bit more aggressive, comes through with more momentum. I would, make Steamy Stacks kind of allocated towards Hungry Hippos, where like basically you win the drop spot up, you basically gain a little bit of momentum completely and steal it away, lock it up from the enemy team. They get so much more aggravated. They don't actually get to come back with that much more momentum at Steamy, and you just have so much more confidence in the rest of the games.
And not to mention, that is not the only contested drop. We have Colossal Coliseum as well as Retail Row. We're keeping an eye on all the action here. Now we have Julix and Charentos alongside Merstash competing against Diablo, Flecken. And this trio for Diablo actually qualified through the reboot round. So let's see what kind of day and start they have.
The desert is going to be the most, I think, harsh POI slash biome on this entire map. Every sort of 7th, 6th / 8th place team, including the reboot round trio that Sancho just mentioned, is basically dropping around Colossal Coliseum. That little pancake shack towards the bottom as well. And you know, because of this, it gets so aggressive. The one team that's used to also pushing through, Savage's trio from Sweaty Sands, has their food to pick from, but there will be fights all the way around.
The most dangerous part of Colossal Coliseum is a lot of people like to rotate to it for Storm Surge tags. So very, very soon, you're going to have multiple trios kind of parked up on all the corners of this kind of square POI. So be careful of that. They have to wrap up that fight quickly or collect their tags as much as possible.
Critter versus Kiko as well, up in Retail Row. This POI never sleeps at all.
Never.
Every qualifier we've seen so far, it's just fights. It's fights games 1 to 6. It might be it's from games 1 all the way to 12 as well in the finals.
And the one thing you got to point out here is that everybody is playing at their peak, at their apex. Wishy getting some nice tags on the backside of Kiku. Going to open up this engagement, but now you're taking a look at the inventory. Some gas canisters in play. So I know we're in EU, so a Petro play could happen right here, right now, to open up this explosive engagement that's happening here in Retail Row. These are going to be huge. We already saw Indretta's trio kind of condition their spot already, 1-0 against Lame's trio. So this is going to be big for these Retail Row trios here. So far, it's a stalemate, and already took a look at the zone. It's a centralized zone, Shio, and you know what's going to happen. And Alexis trio is already going to rotate through.
A lot of pressure for Rax as well. This being one of the first, just one of the few major final appearances he actually has. He's trying to break through and fight out like he's used to. These guys have a huge split as well. So any type of peek outside these builds from Kiku, Mosh, or Slender, not going to go that well. It'll be a prolonged fight though. No one wants to break it down or give up at all. You got to remember it's game number 1. This is Retail Row so far. 2 gas cannons for Sancho. They still haven't broken through.
Yeah, and looks like they were trying to set a blaze to that house that Kiko was in, that forces him to go middle here. This is kind of a pinch that you see a lot of trios like to do. You have 2 on one side and 1 on the other, but you just have to be careful if Rax gets pushed. As you see, he has a very strong, dominant position overseeing this entire engagement. Yes, they are 2 people are pushing Rax here, so that's going to be interesting to see if they fall. As you see Kiko now, because you know it, Shio, in a trio type of fight, all it takes is one person to be singled out, and before you know it, box dives happen.
Hey, you're talking about Colossal Coliseum, the way that people like to come there late, post up on the walls. One of the reasons the Wishy, Rax, and Trader aren't really pushing in, it's very, very good to have control of these mountains right behind Wishy, to be a little bit outside the POI, because if Caddy Corner rolls through, if any other team comes in, it's so difficult to break away from this fight and run. Tuning back, though, to Colossal Coliseum. This fight is taking forever.
Man, we actually, I mean, it's like blows and blows. Blocks, defensive, offensive plays are happening back and forth. No one is like falling right here in these engagements. It's just showing you how stacked this is. Now you're seeing at the mini-map, you're seeing multiple trios rotating in. And if you're going to see, no doubt, Savage's trio most likely is sitting at the Dusty Depot. They love that area. They could rotate early. Also, Shio, there's going to be a lot of teams that we have here, like Pablo Wingo's trio, kind of facing for center. And look, Janice's, Chapix, and Hen are already here. So it's going to be very dangerous to prolong your fight, because those trios, they love a good old-fashioned third party.
I think they just want to taste, though. Even all these fights that are kind of 3v3, one-on-one, team-to-team, not really looking for the full meal.
True.
We're going to see what these other teams have, because we always talk about risk and reward, right? I don't think anyone wants to take any single risk at all. They just want to live, feel things out, deal some damage. If Rax hits this, it's huge. Unfortunately, he does not land that mark, but that actually attracts possibly that team to come by.
Just take a look at the feed. Flick actually gets knocked here. Boyer getting a knock on Flick. So one of the Dirty Dogs trio is going down.
Boyer from Orchards as well, rotating over to Dirty Docks, meaning that that fight at Coliseum is still going to go on uninterrupted. Usually Orchard comes through the third party that, but Boyer's picked a different route. Another sleeper canister, and boom. No wall breaks whatsoever. It will start to burn the builds, though. If that is a back wall that's made of wood, the entire trio will have to relocate. It seems like that is the case. Those flames will transfer. I'm wondering how many mats Kiku has as well in the arsenal. I'm looking at wood builds turning into brick and metal. that means they're running out.
Just to give you an idea what's happening on the other side of the coast, you have Wakey, you have Vidil, and then you have the trio landing behind him, Milwaukee's trio, all colliding at this moment. So you're having those trios having these same kind of knocks here on their rotation. So that's going to keep up. We have to keep an eye on that side of the world. Videl trio is very dangerous, and he's already running into some issues making his rotation towards the center.
So why is that happening? Why is that on the left side of the map? There's so many more elims outside towards the right. Boyer's getting more onto Cisse as well. And then why is this retail fight so slow? If that's the question you're asking, just take a look at that zone. Everyone from the left side has to move in towards retail, towards the desert. Dirty has to actively move as well. Meanwhile, these guys are in zone. They could take this fight, Sancho, for 4 more minutes if they want to, right? They are chilling. But at the same time, this is ammo from Wishy's side versus Matt's from Slender. They both have to be careful. This is kind of a war of attrition.
Absolutely, and so far, no tags have been exchanged, and you already look at Kiko's inventory. Look at that. 6 sniper, now 12, only down to 28 shotgun shots. Every shot matters, and you see there is another trio making its appearance. It is the Caddy Corner trio of Analyx, Xweeze coming in, and Snazy. They are rotating through. These are people, they don't want to fight here, but if they could get a tag, get a snipe, they're going to push in. So watch out for that dangerous trio. It's like a shark literally swimming by. You know, you have that drone shot, you see the fin going by.
Look at it.
And yeah, see,
it's
here
about
we go.
to happen. They're about to chop. They're hungry. And here we go. Snipe gets blocked. Analyx will double back. Question is, how hungry is he really? These guys are actually pushing straight up. I think they know exactly. But the looks of these builds, what a snipe. This trio has to be out of mats, out of gas. They already threw those canisters too. Analyx will post up way behind. Insurance for a squad. Meanwhile, Snazy, Xweeze get closer, more personal. Rax has to drop down metal builds too. That's a very deep reserve. This is trouble.
This is what Analyx's trio likes to do. They need these tags here. Look at that. They're barely 23 above. And the jitters and the hold of the game 1 of the finals is showing its head here, with 16 players have to go down in this storm surge here going into zone 3.
This is not the only trio in the way right now. One below. We thought it was a 3-way fight. I think I might see 4. There's another trio on the mountain right behind these guys. So smart on Analyx to build a box behind him. Still, this is painful. Oh my God. Like a nail scraping on a chalkboard. It's just slow torture for these teams. It hurts. And it's Andretta, Scram, and Refsguard who've made their way here from Steamy winning the fight. Now looking down onto retail. They see a fire sale of damage down below. But they have to get close and personal to see it.
That's going to be a prime position for Storm Surge Tags. They're going to be able to poke into this fight. Let's get close and personal here as Wishy finally goes down. They're holding on grid to grid, box to box as long as possible. And the pressure from Analyx's trio has actually, Analyx didn't really cash in. That is the other trio getting that knock right then and there. Snazy actually getting the confirmation there, but Mashi's trio getting some damage. There's a lot of fight here in this engagement. Their fireworks are popping off in Retail Row. It's taking me flashbacks all the way down to Season X.
I thought I also predicted, properly what the early game's theme would be. I had the right letter. It was D. It wasn't about drops though. It was about damage. Everyone here is just looking to stay above Surge. This fight breaks through the walls of the Coliseum. They got walls of their own right now. Bayon down. Diablo has to get straight in there and get aggressive. It's not possible for now. Do they wipe out? Enemy trio almost looks like it. Not really though. Julex is still alive on the backside. Diablo with a huge jump and attack shot to keep the hopes alive in game 1, but there are shots rattling on their builds still. And this might be the end for the Reboot round trio.
At least it gives them a little bit of insight what kind of matches we will have the rest of the ride. This is only the first 6 of the day. And you're already getting the hints of what's happening, rotations, who's going to be rotational neighbors, who's going to be nemesis throughout the entire day. I'm excited to see who's going to come on top here for the first Victory Royale for the FNCS season. Let's go.
The most interesting thing about the day too is that, you talk about rivals, talk about nemesis, so to speak. It's like all these Titan teams, the teams that Reese and Levin were talking about to look forward to, had basically a new challenger at the door. And right now, none of those Titans have fallen, other than Flick that you said might have gotten knocked. Might be back up at some point, but so far, all those new underdog type teams have somewhat failed the test. You know, Andretta making it off of spawn. Says the Analytics also pushing through Caddy. They had possibly a little bit of contestation there too. Picked up an Elon.
One thing I definitely have to point out, we saw what's happening at Lazy Lake. Trulex's trio is there. That trio likes to land at Hydro 16. If they have that RPG, most likely they will. They love to go to dead center as quickly as possible in early zones. So they're currently sitting in this close to the center of zone 3. And if they get center and they don't have to make crazy rotations, watch out for them to fight for height. They were able to get 2 victory royales in their heat.
If you guys are only used to watching finals of the FNCS, you might be wondering, what are the power POIs that are available right now, right? Like last time I was watching, it was Stark Industries, Doom's Domain, superpowers left and right. The power now is more so outside the POIs and in the hands of the players. Sancho did mention an RPG. It's a new type of drop that got really just blown up, so to speak. No pun intended overall over there at Hydro 16. Chulex has it, but once again, not as super strong as those superpowers from before. It's smart for Chulex to move to center zone, have that rotation, but we'll tune in with them in just a little bit. Let's look at how power is working out for other teams around the map.
Yeah, this is a trio that I've been wondering what they're going to do. CRR trio likes to land it in the previous heat in Caddy corner, but obviously they had to move because Analyx has that set down. They rotated so far on paper to Stealthy Stronghold. They have made a long rotation into here. They like to sit on the edge of the zone. They like to look for opportunities on the people who are rotating late. But let's go on to what's happening with Thomas HC flicking on us, who I believe it was Flick that went down early. Now they're back to full strength.
Not that much. Maybe the biceps are working on the left and right for Flick and Thomas, but the legs are down. Anas, is he knocked or is he on a sliver right now? Flick is knocked. Anas 1 HP. So one of those muscles not working either. Look at the way people are lined up. Sancho, it's like we're ready to go to class. Everyone is on the line of zone.
Yeah, my 3-year-old, no doubt, always loves to be the line leader. Let's see who's going to be the line leader out here to make that rotation early.
Verox goes down, doesn't make the cut, has to get dropped out of the line. You can't cut all the way towards the front. The Vior trio alive here as well. We've seen some great things from them in those previous semifinals, high ground domination. But the thing is, who can really have height? Who will be, as you said, ahead of that line moving into this 4th zone? This is where it happens.
Levin pointed out to me during the break and getting ready for the day, he was saying there's so many people, trios, that like to fight for height, like the Velour, but the question is, Vior, can they execute in this lobby against people who no doubt have executed in the past in the FNCS and who's been consistent in this season?
I'll give you context on that. So many of these top teams qualified early. A lot of the people who've played every single time, qualified through series point, then had just one test in those semifinals, might not be used to the skill available in this lobby right now. Savage instantly just holding height, kind of foreshadowing what this endgame might look like. If you know that's there, how's low ground gonna look? Sometimes I'm used to watching Stacey Analyx and X-Squeeze play it, but okay, they were down on Surge before. Not looking too confident on their damage so far this game. Just 100 above. You can see this number fluctuating like a heartbeat, up, down, and it's getting faster as well. Because people are getting nervous, they're getting anxious. You want to be at least 200, 300 above. That's a very comfortable space.
And we're already taking a look at zone. There's only one team dead center. They're gonna have to make some crazy rotations, but you're right. All the people here on the edge of zone, I've noticed in doing VOD reviews, a lot of trios are comfortable fighting here, but as you see, there's not a lot of moments of opportunities to get hits, and that RPG goes right against Thomas HC's trio here, who are 19 below, and Thomas connects with the snipe, and that's going to be a huge snipe, not only for the rotation, but for desperate need of Storm Surge tags.
From 0 all the way up to hero, you can always count on the best sniper the world has to offer to keep his team alive in the game. Artor taking out Mexi. Jan is actually going down to Wakey. So some trouble in Paradise over there. Giannis those pushed up in iDrop's box, but they get wiped out immediately. No chance down below. Is that Snazzy just taking a little bit of damage from Surge? Possibly. Has to be. 8 people need to go down.
And iDrop is able to survive that with some great knocks against the Vior trio there. No, they're out, but look at this rotation. The half in and half out. The 5th zone. Half in the safe, half in the storm. It is close to max pull. Not too bad. but not a lot of trios standing in their way. So this is going to be a simple rotation and they can execute it here. But no doubt, just looking at the inventory, they're going to want to try to save, but look at the beams. Wow, the crossfire is real as so many trios are trying to stop the rotation from chasing Savage and iDrop.
From a game of chess straight down now onto the field, these guys go from a very calculated box fight to a crazy bouncer rotation. The whole server gets active. Cammy steals height away from a majority of people moving towards the zone. That middle trio at control before is not going to be there either. Tayson now down in the trenches, looking for his chance to survive. Not going to be possible here. He has to break all the way out. Harpoon's grabbing at his feet from the depths below, but he gets high and dry. Another bouncer hit. Does anyone see him? Absolutely not, apparently. Savage, though, getting rattled from the back. He survives. Matzo does not want to give it up for free.
Wow, what a high-speed chase rotation when you have that train hard duo chasing your heels. Question is, where is Benji? But now let's take a look at how everybody is setting up here. You do see Ping and Trulex. They're definitely right now at height with the RPG. They send one to Alex, who gets a big-time hit right there. Losing so much AP into Septoskin zone. Wakies get chopped down below from Flickanos and Thomas HT. We got Hen and Chapix and Janice still up. But the question is, who is going to be able to wrestle height away from Trulix, who is armed with an RPG, who will bop you on the head if you try to come up for air. And look at that. They build right across, and now they have stronghold position the rest of the way.
They didn't want to build a base right now. They wanted to send a message. And that's for every other trio in this game to stay silent. As we just said, if you peek your head out right now, you are going to get bopped by 120 damage worth of rockets over and over and over again.
Even though they are speaking really loud, it is Andretta's Resguard Scram trio. This is where they want to be, in front of the zone with a full box tarp. Expect this trio right here, right now to start cooking up, because we're just in getting out placements. We're in a top 15.
I think I saw Chapix go down all the way towards the backs. Headdrop still having trouble rotating all the way in. It is just Matzo and Amplify operating as a duel right now, right below Vadil and O'Reilly on the left, all the way towards the right. Boyer, Huja, and Hellfire all the way half zone with Refsguard and Andretta. Those are the two trios on low ground to watch out for. But now everyone's colliding near the back. Trulex has a free base all the way on height. On the bottom right side, you can see Advantage. On the top right, you can see Disaster, but iDrop saves it for just a little bit before going down. Now Pink has another connection. These guys have built two different gateways, bridges across the entire map. No one can knock them down. They have the only RPG in the game, but just one rocket.
Seen in the feed, Hen and Stacy are getting some knocks here and some elims here. Pink picks up a knock against Pizza here in an elim with the assistance of the Storm. This is going to be a huge game and a huge start from Trulix here. Not a lot of people had them in the predictions here everywhere in social media, but Armed with the RPG is definitely going to have a say. Vidil picks up an elim on down. Now Paco, Raxo, and Queasy, they're now going to face the fire here, but my question is, does Trulix have enough builds to hold this height, Shio?
Does he have the energy at all? Because the rockets are now down 2. Expended everything to make sure Analex can't actually reach that mountain. Down below, Cammy goes down. Amplify in the Storm on the bottom left of your screen right there is trying, but Hen denies him existence in this server. Boyer also taking big trades and going down. Janice steps over his body and gets into the zone. Scram also on the bottom right of your screen is trying to survive, but doesn't. Trulex on height is making sure this is the most difficult game any low ground player can play inside Europe.
Thomas HT picking up some great elims and knocks in the feed. Matzo is still going. Janice on the backside going up. Now Thomas falls to Storm. Let's see Trulix right now with his trio mates having 7 elims and so far 28 points. Can they walk away with the victory royale? It is the top 3 placement is when those bonus points rack in so much here. So the jump between 4th and 3rd place is real. We got a strong trio with Queasy, Paco, and Raxo still alive. We still have Hen is still in this fight. Hen's a very dangerous solo, and we're 1 placement away from that top 3, Shio. There it is.
Bullies on high ground, absolutely, and they're just rattling down. There's no sense of authority, no presence to stop them. Hen goes down. Paco and Raxo, they're trying to survive, but how long can they actually live? 3 different people dropping beams, heavy ARs, and every item alike. A Harpoon trying to bring them away from godhood, but it's not possible towards the low. Trulix actually going down. Raxo with the god play. They get the full finish. He's down for a sliver of HP. The returns here, the clap back, but it's not possible from the Storm. Stompy makes sure that they can taste the boot of high ground. and these guys have a dominant finish.
Yo, that boot on the heel says 10 elims and a victory royale, and a great start to the day. Unbelievable, great early zone positioning. They were there in the center of Loot Lake, and they didn't have to do anything crazy. And we saw them, that RPG being a big factor, stopping Analyx from taking height.
A very good selection of rockets. The trickiest thing on height is where do you get your elims? They solved that question too. The question is though, how does it actually look, you know, in the grand scheme of things? Are they ahead? Was there a low ground team below that did better? We have to toss it over to the desk to find out.
Now that is the way you kick off a finals. Unbelievable start there. Thank you, Shayo, Sancho, Reese, Levin, guys. I mean, this was a game one where we lost a lot of teams. A lot of teams had early baths, as we say in the UK. A lot of teams lost out very, very early. Walk us through the highlights.
Yeah, you know, from that end game there, we saw teams that we weren't necessarily going to be predicting, right? You know, we've seen tons of top teams perform a lot in the end game, right? Pretty much every one of the top picks that we've had were up there in that top 5 position. However, up in the end, I don't think many people were predicting them to come out on top yet.
Yeah, most definitely. You know, some of the names that we saw there are top quality names in the Fortnite community, but not necessarily the big favorites. In terms of some of the stuff that happened off spawn, right? Some of the early game things that went down, you know, over the course of the next 12 games, we're going to see a lot of switch shots potentially in drop spots. And one of the more interesting places here in Steamy Stacks, Resguard and Dreta and Scram being contested by Lame's trio with Robnik, right? The Germans, these guys are persistent. They do not want to leave Steamy, but if Scram and then Dreta and Resguard are playing like this, they might have to, right? They wiped these guys out off spawn and made quick work of them.
Yeah, and we saw Andrea's team really performing. What a beautiful snipe as well from Scram up there. We saw Andrea Scram in that end game, right? They were in such a good position going into that first moving, purely because, you know, they managed to dominate this early game drop. It was a very, very tough zone for them. You know, they had to rotate at that south side and they spawned completely to the north. But this early game, they completely wiped. And we were worried that there was going to be 3 teams landing here. But actually, it ended up being Shizo's team who ended up disengaging at the start here. So they didn't end up completely contesting all of that Steamy Stacks area.
Yeah, taking a look here at the leaderboards, at the standings, Pink, Trulex, and Stompy are your game one winners. Super impressed by these guys, right? They're a trio where, in terms of their performance during the qualifier weeks, not too impressive, right? They sort of had a couple blunders and stopped them from getting to round 4 on a consistent basis. I don't think they made it at all, actually, right?
No.
You know, people were sort of doubting these guys. In heats, they showed what they can do in more of a controlled lobby environment, right? Pink said that was their biggest issue. You know, qualifiers were a bit messy. They couldn't really sort of control things, but in a more controlled lobby environment, especially in grand finals where there are a lot of players who will be nervous, these guys with the RPG that they get from Hydro are just going to be able to dominate.
Yeah, and we saw in the second place, Queasy, Rakko, and Paco. Like, you know, these guys at the start of the season, they had some haters, you know, in the community that were saying these guys were only performing because they got the Storm Scout Sniper. And you know what? That Storm Scout Sniper has been taken out. It's no longer in competitive. And already they started off with a massive second in that first place game. So really, really good. And, you know, let's be real, proving those haters wrong. And they almost clutched that victory royale in the final game as well. We saw how close they were. You saw an absolutely clutch elimination at the end, making it a 2v2, but unfortunately, just not enough materials to end up picking up that victory royale.
Yeah, most definitely. Look, when it comes to like the first game, right, I'm always really interested in sort of how players respond to first games, especially in like a 12-game format where there are just so many games left. You don't want to lose your head. You don't want to lose your mental. A lot of these players are, you know, very spirited individuals. Like they're players who, you know, are very ambitious as well. And so they're going to want to do well today. But it's about being able to sort of just keep a level head because there are so many games left. You cannot afford to, you know, get into a row with your teammates by any means at this stage in the competition. Taking a look here at the page, you can see Diablo, Fleck, and Mbayon. They were the reboot round winners. Historically, reboot round winners have never done too well. The only time we've actually seen a reboot round team do incredibly well per se was last season in EU with Rojo's True, who came 10th in the grand finals. And so these guys looking to maybe sort of change that, prove people wrong that a reboot round team can make waves. But if they are going to do that, it's going to take a lot more than what they put on in that first game.
Yeah, and there's something that you said there that I actually really liked, which was, you know, a lot of these teams, they need to not be fighting. They need to be in terms of between themselves, not between other teams. They need to keep the spirits high. It's one game over. But at the same time, a lot of the things that we see is, you know, that first game victory royale, isn't necessarily the biggest indicator of which team is going to be dominant throughout. You know, I think like Trulex's team and Stompy's team, who ended up picking up the victory, that was classic. That was beautifully done for them. But a lot of times during the qualifiers and in the semifinals and multiple heats, we've seen a team absolutely stomp the first lobby in the first kind of game and then slow down after that and other teams catch up. So hopefully these guys can keep that momentum rolling because they played so well that game.
They really did. They had that high ground the entire time as well. We saw there. They had it very early on as the storm was moving. You kind of felt they were in control of the rest of the lobby, really. You know, we're going into game 2 now. As you mentioned, you know, we've got plenty of time. There's still 11 games left in this series over the 2 days. We saw a few drops change up a little bit there as well. Do you think that's a factor yet, or do you think there's still a bit of time, bit of breathing room before people start thinking about changing things up?
Well, game 1, a lot of times people have changed their drops from what they initially were planning, right? People plan their drop spots out, but you never know really where anyone else is going. So when you change coming into that game 1, this is the only time you actually figure out who is going where. So I think we're going to see, you know, we saw Knifer's team leave Misty Meadows and land on another team, which I don't really think was the play to start that one. You know, they had the west side of Misty Meadows completely uncontested, it seemed like, and they disengaged from that. So potentially they're going to notice that coming into this game and hopefully kind of change that up. And I swear other teams will be doing the same thing that didn't perform off spawn.
Yeah, you know, it's about being able to make those quick on-the-fly adjustments. And I think the teams who have the ability to do that will be incredibly successful. Some of the teams who, like you said, Adam, right, have sort of changed things up from their initial plans. You know, some of them might reevaluate things and say, hold on a minute, why are we changing things up? You know, things didn't work out. So, you know, maybe we got to get back to that initial plan we had.
Well, let's see if our teams can do it this time around. We are game 2 ready, and Shayo and Sancho waiting in the wings. Gentlemen, let's do this thing. Here we go, game 2. Let's do it.
And for game 1 in total, there were definitely plans thwarted, and people who stayed alive put their spots down on the map. Some are steamy. Retail, though, it's kind of different. Still, no one knows who's in control of that spot, but the winners from game 1 landed over at Hydro 16. It was Stompy, Pink, and Trulex, who just took that game away with explosive fashion.
And what a great finish we had to the first match, Shayo. You know, we talked about game 2, right? Game 2 being a duos type situation where we saw Queasy and Trulex, who came in second place in the FNCS duos, going to first and second here in this season. So no strangers there in that regard. But what's going to be interesting to see, like Reese pointed out, can Stompy, Trulex, can they be able, and Pink, be able to put together a string of solid games and continue a great start? We'll see. I think they can, considering that what they like to do, like I mentioned, they go for Storm Surge tags. If they get a box fight early or something, they could rotate in and they get center. Armed with that RPG, they're looking good. On the same side, it's so interesting as well. Raxel, Paco, and Queasy, they kind of have the same kind of play style. They like to play for center. And what was so interesting, I remember Storm Surge raining down on this trio, and they did not falter. So that's going to be the question going forward for this trio, is if they play center, can they hit those shots that they need? Because if their aim's off in any of these matches, they're going to have a rough time making the rotation, Shayo.
Yeah, when you're driving the bus basically from that left side map split, it's very hard to get surge tags. Found out basically in Fortnite that was kind of an issue when Fortilla was around. Anything that landed there is always a little bit behind. For Amplify, Benji, and Matzo, this time the full trio inside the game. They'll be able to play the whole thing through. 25 points is a pretty good pedestal, but in first place, 50 is what leads the entire pack.
And what really worked well for Amplify's trio is that Amplify and Matzo, they have the ability to do well as a duo in these stacked games as well. So if Benji goes down for some reason, Matzo and Amplify are more than capable for having those like dead side rotations or weak side rotations in a condensed area. They make those smart moves. They don't get into any kind of craziness, and that's why they're in fourth place going into this fight.
Still over time, that consistency, I don't think matters as much in this format where the top 3 is the heaviest, right? If you want to win overall today, which is what I think the majority of players really care about, not only just the money, but the respect, the prestige. You got to have Benji leading that tarp. You got to have the full trio alive. For the boys all the way over at Steamy Stacks, looks like there's no contest here today. I think I saw Robnik going down very early on in the game. Might have been somewhere near Colossal Coliseum. Maybe Mustache picked him up. We'll see where their pivot lies. That's the one thing too, is that even if one team gets uncontested off of a game, if they end up losing, or you know, they end up finding a team and winning off of drop, that team that moves away will contest somewhere else. They'll affect the map in a different spot. But actually, it's really different over here so far. I was wondering why I saw a new name. It's a whole different team that landed over at Steamy Stacks again. So, you know, maybe that adjustment gets made into your POI and it's even harder to fight.
And this is not a easy team. Malibuka and Shizo and Mayhem are the #1 finishes in their heat in that third one. They had 2 victory royales in their 6 games. They walked away with 155 points, and they did really well placement wise. And that's the trio that you do not want to deal with as well. So, hey, Malibuka, and the greatest stat that I've seen so far throughout the entire time is that if you came in first place in your heat, the chances of you are winning the FNCS championship go really high. So that goes for Egram, that goes for iDrops trio, that goes for Malibuka and Flick.
It's first place with momentum though, right? The biggest thing that I've seen in Heat 3 is that it was kind of an upset heat. It wasn't really for the pattern of what we usually see in an FNCS. So these guys will still have to upset a majority of squads. They don't have that hold on many POIs, the control that some of the most prestigious teams had. That's one of the biggest things you have to consider when looking at that heat. Dirty Dogs though, for Flick, still completely uncontested.
What's so interesting as well is that Flick Thomas and Anas, they have the ability to pop off. We saw that in that other heat. They were literally at one point, first, second, and third in the number of elims in that heat. It was insane. And they did a lot of their work, not necessarily here on their drops because they were uncontested in that heat, but they did a lot of work in the early game, on edge, fighting teams that are making bad rotations, late rotations. And then, of course, we all saw their pop off at in-game. If they're at full strength, they have the ability to pop up. But remember, folks, they only survived. They only got into in-game because Thomas HC hit a crucial snipe on their rotation. Storm Surge was literally kicking down their door.
I would say it's surprising, but I honestly see that from Thomas every game, so I just expect it to happen. This, though, F-Scarred, man. I understand you can't build in the air, but you got to be a little bit more dynamic. It's beamed down, but it might have been part of the plan. Yuna's not getting chased out completely away from Steamy. He's knocked. He's going to get shaken down as well. Lame will be found. There's nowhere to hide.
This is a message, dude. They caught them on the rotation, trying to walk away. And look at that, a sniper shot. They are not messing around. They will have that championship, that axe in their sights. See, like
all the way across the bridge.
They are not. They want you to know
it's free damage.
If you're gonna land anywhere near here, you're gonna have to deal with us. So hey, now let's see, what does a full strength Upify Matsuo and Benji look like going into in-game? Still great performance, 25 points like I mentioned just a bit ago. But this is what the big concern that a lot of our analysts and a lot of the big time fans of competitive Fortnite is where they're gonna find the Storm Surge tags. Upify likes to be the fisher right out the gate. He sometimes looks into logjam for some tags. Sometimes they overextend and they feel the pressure and they fall. I've seen a couple of snipes go down in the VOD reviews. Sometimes they take a peek in Hydro 16. So far, I know they have 0 tags going right now in this match.
They'll be fine with the car, as well as the fact that there were so many different teams that have to move through moving woods on this side of the map. Bound to find something at some point is my hope. But at the same time, if this team does end up making it into the end game, big thing that they like to operate with is space. So we'll see them making a lot of it, something we didn't see in game number 1 from a lot of teams.
And they're not going to find Paco's trio at logjam because they already left towards early zones, right? They're already gone. So now they're, as you see, they're going to rely on vehicles, look for someone to engage into, trying to find someone who's doing a long rotation scavenger route. I'm going to wonder, where is the zone right now? Because that's going to determine how a lot of people rotate. As you see, Amplify, Matzo, and Benji, no doubt, looking for someone who's maybe having a rough time or making a late rotation.
Definitely in the zone because I don't even see the lines around it. And on the right side / bottom side of the map, it's slowly closing in. So this will be a really, really left side zone. Very tricky rotation for Steamy, which is why they left early. Tricky rotation for Dirty, which is why I hope Flick, Anas, and Thomas HD got their looting done. All those shields that Reboot man picked up and then pushed towards the storm, towards the zone. For Trader Rax, Wishy-Washy, doesn't look like they had that much of a problem at retail this time, but at the same time, not the most powerful loadout you're going to be watching going into an endgame.
We're taking a look. This is one of our new trios, the first time making it to the FNCS finals. A lot is on the line for them, and they haven't got points just yet, but they could certainly turn it up here. Everyone's capable of putting a great performance today, Shayo.
A very different performance needed in this game. This is actually one of the most interesting zones I've seen. Pushes left so early on the map. This means every team on the left side will be watching probably doesn't have that many tags because they haven't really moved around inside the zone, much like Benji's team. But then everyone from the right is going to be fighting the whole way through, working towards the left side of the map. It's usually kind of the opposite, where like a lot of teams have the freedom to move around, get those tags when it's a central zone, like in game 1, and then the people who are just not there with a good game plan are the ones down bad. Right now, it's really up to position overall. Look at the effect that kind of breakdown has. Benji forced to go close for a fight, but it's against Noah Riley and Vidil.
This is it. This is going to be a huge engagement. Vidil's trio loves to fight, and Benji, Matzo, Amplify are all for it because they need Storm Surge tags. Let's see these two Titans collide here. There is 3 trios sniffing around the holly hedges, but this is going to be a blockbuster fight. And look, we have Pink Stompy here as well. So a lot of trios who are in this area that land here are needing Storm Surge tags. And looks like Pink and Stompy and Trulix, they don't want a little bit of it. They're trying to rotate here, but Reason, oh, he gets a big tag. Just a little bit too late with that build to block.
Has Peppers too. This sure is going to be very dangerous to play around and against if you're built up next to them. Right now, shotgun shots trading. Noah Riley to Amplify. He has to go up while Amplify bunkers down. The shields will come through. It'll be fine there for now, but as this happens, just pay attention to that mini map. A lot of teams will be rotating in and out. I don't think Holly is the best place to build a base. It's just a residential neighborhood, right? There's kind of regulations here right now. And at the same time, it's not in the best position when the zone locks in. So we'll see Trulex going towards the center for the better spot. Reason understands the situation they're in, make sure their mats are always up. They have the flexibility to maintain the space, but if you give Benji an inch, he will make it way more than a mile. And as Reason tries to move around, he runs into Nico.
This is the 4th trio in this fight. The mud gets muddier here, and things are going to get picked up here. Let's see who could walk away in this fight. It's going to be a sloppy one, but you're seeing the payoff work really well. And Reason knows that they don't need this engagement, considering that they have their tags. They just want to hold on as much resources. And Reason says, not so fast, Sancho. I'm going to 180 that and go right back into the fray. But I think Noah Riley gets cracked right then and there. This is going to be a huge engagement. Can Reason go ahead and close out Nico quickly? Noah Riley goes down, so now it's up to Reason and Vidil to hold on true here in Holly Hedges. But look, the Trainhard boys are still here to fight, Shayo.
Still here to fight, but this is so bad for Reason so far. Gets the final knock down onto Freddy, so it looks good there for now. Still, it's a 2v1 type fight. Split teammates as well. Nico trying to knock on the walls of Reason at the same time. 1,000 damage above, so they really don't need to be here, but now they're forced to have to pick up that reboot too. Trulex is just waiting and watching on the map as well. If you guys don't see it, it's the green arrows for who can win this fight. And I talked about it. Oh no, unfortunate. Vidil, no Riley go down at the same time. Reason 2.
And you just know, folks, that Nico's trio did not want to push into that fight, but they had no choice. The Storm Surge was bearing down their neck as well, because they like to do a scavenger route, which is not at a major POI. They don't see a lot of action, so when they saw the opportunity to strike, they took it. But the Deals trio, who always likes to fight a lot of engagements, pay the ultimate price, and they've been lobbied.
What does that price equate to as well? You look at the leaderboard on the left side of your screen. It is a very close game still between every team. Just one fight can change the way your stature is so far today. And although the first place team of Pink, Trulix, and Stompy are alive in the game and way far ahead, there's a chance for everyone to catch up right now. Paco, Queezer going straight into the box, looking for their big shot, and they do find a few onto Teak, onto Seti, but can they get Cammy is a question. Paco has to back out. Cammy is not going to go down without a fight. Teak, though, fully eliminated.
Now you're seeing this is engagement that Paco and Queasy are taking because they rotate to the edge of the storm. If the POI is basically the safe zone lands on them in zone 1, they went to the edge looking for storm surge tags as per usual. But that means they're going to run into the big names like Tayson Savage and iDrop who are coming from Salty Towers.
They're all forced on the right side, and just look at the difference in kind of atmosphere between Ollie Hedges and then somewhere near Salty Towers, the left and the right. It's basically peace versus war. You can see no man's land in between the boxes of these trios. You can see how tough it is for them to even rotate 3 or 4 tiles. It's so risky. But at the same time, everyone needs to make that movement. So there will be slight chances of peace, some moments of quietness. But after that, big shots will roll in. Very creative by Savage and Tayson to actually do that damage down, get ahead, and then use another team's bouncer to make it all the way across.
Now we're seeing some new names into the broadcast. It is Michaels, Verox, and Mexi coming into the fray. For the longest time, we were always asking, what would they do? Where would they land? They usually love dirty docks, especially Vox. I mean, that's where he made his home when it was introduced in Chapter 1. So they made this rotation all the way down to dead side. Now they're fighting off the scraps here of that Holly Hedges scrum. And Nico literally has no choice but to go into the storm to fight and survive as much as possible. Mexi's not gonna let this go, but hey, Karma's trio's on the backside here. There's so much action here at Holly Hedges, Shio.
Okay, I guess it works for Nico. And he picks up Benji's old car to roll all the way in. I was gonna say questionable play, but this is more so an exclamation mark on the attitude Nico has. He's gonna put it all on the line to survive over here. No placement on the board just yet, but he can work towards it. 43 mats, all wood though. I mean, I don't know how long this will last, but props.
If he he reboots Fritto and Meld, that's going to be a highlight in itself. I think he has no choice but to go for it. But as soon as he starts going that, you know, all of a sudden everyone's going to turn their heads and say someone, especially with that horn, everyone's going to turn away. But let's take a look at the rest. We see Analex's trio, pretty strong position here. You mentioned, Shio, it's a residential area, but looks like zone is creeping closer and closer. We're about to get to zone 4. And if it goes down to Holly Hedges, wow, what a battle are we going to have for y'all here in match 2.
Another instance of everyone just kind of held up on the zone line. 2 or 3 trios at the dictate who moves in and out from inside the zone. Boyer is just getting rattled inside this box. Kluja can't survive either. They get dropped down. Not into a different trio's box. That was Kluja trying to make an edit. Paco and Queasy were just right there looking for the big shots. They pick up Kluja. The mats, the ammo will be there. And Boyer has to hear his teammate get eliminated right in front of him. 22 teams still here. 8 people have to go down for that surge threshold as well. This is a very tricky zone, a very hard lobby.
This is going to be a tough, and Boyer does have the experience there. We'll keep tabs on him. He does have the 2nd place finish right underneath him, and Paco and Queasy, no doubt they're fiending for an Elam.
We're in the desert. This would be such a simple rotation in terms of the resources needed to move, right? You'd be able to hide behind some mountains, maybe do some sand tunneling. If this was near Misty, you could use those big valleys as kind of places to break lines of sight. But near Holly, this is all flat ground. Every single trio has to use so many builds before the end game even starts. This gives CRR, ZQ, Leo, other trios like Hen, Chapix, and Janice just the advantage of being here, but you have to be careful. CRR slapped in the face while trying to rotate.
This is going to be difficult. CRR, ZQ, and Leo, they'd love to be at the edge early because of that snipe that's going to put them a little bit behind the 8 ball for just a bit here. But that is a trio that has been pushed out of their major POI regarding the heat stage. They're out in Stealthy Stronghold, but these are edge fighters. They go to the edge and they love to fight. They look for storm surge tags on the storm side of things. So let's see how they continue. For the first time in the broadcast, we see Mr. J's trio setting up on the outside of that mansion. That's a trio that we have to keep their eyes on, because if they survive, that means they stayed away from Badil's trio the whole time.
A lot of height too, which is so impressive, but for height, this will be a very different game. I would say easier than most because everyone's in shambles, but at the same time, it's going to be risky if people do make desperate plays for high ground in that 7th zone. It gets very tricky. Boyer's trying to get that clutch. 3 different trios need to go down. Sniper is going to beat there, but not going to be possible to hit. Miro, Swag, they'll be able to pick all that up. Wow, still everyone in their box is fully reserved. There's not even an RPG in sight. There's not even a really big base to snipe. No one wants to try it, and yeah, no one has height. And Thomas AC Flicker and us have a max rotates.
This is going to be crazy. We saw Thomas HG hit a crucial snipe on that rotation. There's literally probably 3 trios have short rotations here. One is barely just in.
Every trio's bleeding in mats right now, and the wound is only going to get wider. They have to move across complete open terrain with no recycling available just yet into people like Mr. J and Light who are low on surge.
They're going to need their tags now. They're the ones that's sitting on top of the mansion. They have that height right now. So every tag here is going to be vital for them because, hey, the rest of the lobby, child, they see that purple lightning riding down and they know height's going to be free in the moment if they can aggressively push it.
Well, they're kind of the lighthouse for this rotation. A beam on every single person. Actually, the base gets dropped down. The bulb has a fuse. And their vision is basically obstructed. They're not going to be able to bully any other team or go for any shots right now. They have to rebuild. That means it's a free rotate for the Guild Gamma trio moving in. I was going to say CRR's trio is kind of like the checkpoint on the left side, but his teammate goes down. Flick actually finds CRR. Leo taken out by Thomas. So they have a completely full revitalization to get back into this game. Light is there too, looking for shots. RPG knocking on their back door. Pink and Trulix might have height once more.
Thomas AC Trio picking up CRR Trio on the rotation. Remember, if you come in late, Thomas AC Trio is going to find you, and they just did. That's how they got so many elims. Hen applying the pressure on Thomas HC with Light on height, applying more pressure than the metal builds come out. They're trying to survive that rotation. Let's see where Zone 6 goes.
No.
The first move in.
Have they done it again? I'm looking at height right now and exactly who's there. First moving does bounce towards every team's advantage.
Yes.
But it is indeed the team we saw before having height. Once again, Trulix of the RPG has built over. They will have to check Mr. J. Benji, Amplify, and Matzo alive on low though. And they have the room to create space. They have zone.
This is big. This is where Amplify wants to be. And Matzo's going to be the lead target here. He's going to have these crazy rotations. Expect the Elim feet to light up with Amplify, Matzo, and Benji. Benji has free reign to roam around. Edit. Look for some big tags. And he has that purple tag to do some damage. But look who's at height up there on the other side. It is Stompy Peak and Trulix rearing their head again and again, armed with that RPG.
This is not part of the script. We weren't supposed to have the same team basically in the best spot to win 2 games. It's supposed to be a one and done, but they have an RPG again. They're looking down on every trio who I mentioned is bleeding. These have been 5 different max rotations for some of these teams. Where are they getting these mats? Are they pickaxing the air and getting free wood? I'm not sure, but they're still here with the refreshes. Benji will be the most comfortable somewhere close to the front side of the zone. All the way on low though, Verox is trying to stay alive. Benji actually moves all the way over with Amplify and Matzo to a mid-ground layer. Trulix is beaming all the way towards the back. I'm wondering how many rockets he has too, as this entire zone moves right to left. A side scroller effect kind of takes hold of the zone. Everyone just has to move straight. They can't edit their paths left or right. A zone almost actually messing up low ground by elevating, bounces back. So everyone now gets a chance to stay alive for a little bit more. Placement won't go down as fast. You can hear the silence just in between these shots. Storm Surge still flying down too. Flick knocked on low. Fleckin taken out as well. So Fleckin been on made it this far, but one of the best trios in the lobby has been flopped down. And it won't take Verox that Dirty Dogs to do it this time. He'll do it in the end game.
We're in a top 12 here, folks. Top 12 placement points are being kind of sent out there as Tayson goes down there to Savage goes down as well. Aware picking up there. Swag is still in this fight. They're fighting right now. Now we're in a top 10 situation here. A lot of shots ringing out down below, going through old builds, making crazy peats, looking for opportunities. Janice picking up Elim on Mexi. Now we're taking a look at the rest of the way. Amplify is up. Thomas HD is up, getting a 1 on Chapix and Hen. Titans colliding on the low ground and mid ground. Benji picking up a knock. This is Benji, and he gets a complete knock on Snag right there. And this is what I'm talking about. When this trio is together fighting on the dead side rotations in congested zones, they are dangerous. And right now, 5 E limbs going right before the final ninth zone.
3x3 box space of control as well for that trio. Mr. J knocked off of height. Light not shining today so far, but they found space in the darkness down below and low. They have to be careful though. Benji amplifying Mats will be next to their box. Drop down instantly. And Light taken out in a flash. No damage actually responded by towards Amplifier Matzel either. This is very good. 6 eliminations. They have to find the refreshes in the builds though. They're running out. Benji on his last 8 picks up a few more. Picks up even more after the fact. Waka, this town is waiting and watching. Cubix finds him though. Artur and them are alive on low. We've seen how good they are in this spot, but they get pinched by Benji in the final moment. It was peaceful times on Heights. Suddenly though, Trulex is knocked down, and now Stompy has to do something.
This is going to be difficult. Advice now gets taken out by the Trainhard duo alongside with Benji. Now it's a battle between the team that's been mopping up the floor versus the team that's going on height. It might go down a heel game, but remember, Shio, the wood builds above are not strong and they're running out. Stompy's down the wood builds, and you hear the chop going down from the team down below. Matzo with some big tags, Amplify with some big tags. Benji gets tagged. Benji with the flick of the wrist, getting the E-limb, and holy, Matzo, Amplify, and Benji with some sound mid-ground to low-ground gameplay get the victory royale.
Get Benji in the game, give Amplify and Matzo space on low ground, and they'll take it to an 11 elimination victory royale. That is mad impressive, considering there was an RPG on Heights.
Very mad impressive. I would say what definitely helped them out was that Storm pulling back. They made that beautiful rotation that had no congestion, and they were vibing down below, and they had all the power weapons for them in their arsenal. But what an unbelievable finish, Shio.
Yeah, they were almost out of time, but we're not. We have more to break down on the desk with Adam, Reese, and Levin.
Unbelievable scenes. You know, Benji there at the end on fire, just fragging left, right, and center. 11 limbs in total for the team. We thought it was all going to go exactly the same way. And that end game there, we saw Stompy and co. high ground again, but the tides turned, and Benji and co. they got the VR.
Yeah, it was an absolute mirror to the first game, and that's what it seemed like. The games were going similar, but I think one of the biggest issues that Pink's team had there is the fact that if you noticed, Stompy on high ground with pretty much no assault rifle ammo, and they had a harpoon within their inventory, so there were definitely opportunities to be able to get more assault rifle ammo to apply that pressure down, but just because they'd run out, they weren't able to end up getting that assault rifle ammo back up, meant they couldn't pressure Benji's team, and they just let Benji go completely rampant on low ground, popping off.
Yeah, look, I was getting ready to prepare myself and talk about how amazing Stompy and that trio is. But all of a sudden, things just turn around in the final moment. Congrats to Benji, right? Like, I'm sure everyone's going to be super excited for him, right? There is this sort of, you know, curse of the finals that Benji has attached to his name, like you mentioned, Reese. So to see them pick up the game is super impressive.
Yeah, it's awesome. And you know what? Let's be real. We're all Benji fans. We're all Benji fans. I'm a fan of Matzo. I'm a fan of Amplify too. So to see them popping off, and they had 52 points there too. So that was more because they got one more elimination than that game one winner as well.
It was really impressive to see. I think you're right. Fan favorites, you know, pay dividends, and Benji getting those 6 elims. I mean, you said it yourself, just seeing him popping off and just dominating from the low ground at first as well. I mean, walk us through the maps and the drops here as well, guys, and what happened throughout the course of the match.
Yeah, no, one of the things we wanted to really point out here was, remember how Stompy took that high ground early on in the 5th zone? Well, it goes a little bit earlier than that. Look all the way back to 2nd zone. You can see 3rd zone appearing there. Look, the only single player in the zone right now is Stompy's team. They were set up in such a good position. And if you notice, because the zone is pulling to the complete west-hand side of the map, that every single player is pretty much stuck on that right-hand side.
Yeah, it's super unusual to see that many teams just not, you know, rotating like all on the storm line there. Like, I think that's why, like, it's really important to highlight, because there are teams who, you know, their whole play style, the whole essence of how they play the game is, you know, making these early rotations to the center of the next zone. And so to see teams just sort of not being able to do that, right, you sort of have to play the lobby at times, right? So a lot of these guys are, you know, they don't want to end up in a position where they're the first person to rotate, so everybody's looking at them, right? Everybody's taking shots at them. You know, a bit of fear showing up here. Looking at the leaderboards, things are not surprising. Even though they didn't pick up the victory royale, Pink, Trulex, and Stompy still way at the top there in 1st place. Amplify, Matzo, and Benji in 2nd place, picking up the 2nd victory royale today. And then 3rd, Hen, Janice, and Chapix. Not a surprise. In every single game we've watched so far, they've been there till nearly the very end. So props to them for that.
Yeah, and actually what I said to Levin in the back was, when we saw Hen, Janice, and Chapix ahead of zone on that first moving, I said, these guys are going to get 10 eliminations that game. I called it out straight away. They didn't, unfortunately. But they managed to get 7, 2 games in a row. So they've been really consistent, a 6th place and a 3rd place, both with 7 eliminations. Like, that is incredibly good. Moving over to our next stage. Oh no, go ahead.
I was going to say, looking at Legends come and Aware there in 8th, nice to see they had a good game, because obviously in the first game, they went down off spawn, right? One of the reasons, look, they went down off spawn in the first game, things didn't go well. Second game, they're way up there in the top 8. So, you know, things can always turn around. We're in the early stages of competition.
And another team who's popping off, we saw Miro, Snap, and Swag currently in 12th place right now. These guys had a good game, 7 eliminations and 8. Like, that's a very good game. But coming out of that first game, we had 22. Struggling with Storm Surge a lot, definitely in that first game. And it's very tough when they had that complete east side zone. This time they had the benefit of the west side map. Hopefully, they're going to learn from that first game. If they pull a max distance zone again, they're going to have to learn how to rotate that and get that Storm Surge a little bit better.
Yeah, I think looking at the way the competition's played out, right, we've seen Stompy, Trulex, and Pink be able to get high. 2 games rather uncontested, right? Nobody's really taking that sort of initiative. And to be fair, they have the RPG, right? It gives them a huge advantage in the sense of, if they don't pull zone, they can look at opposite height and apply pressure with the RPG, right? Consistent just pressure there and sort of deter anybody from wanting to go for it. We've seen other teams in the lobby who pride themselves on being high ground teams, right? The likes of No Riley, Vidil, even Hen, Janice, and Chapix, they've shown us what they can do on height as well. So, when are these teams eventually going to say, hey, look, maybe we can sort of go for it? I think people are sort of looking at what Stompy's trio is doing up on height with that RPG and thinking, yeah, I don't want any issues with that. I don't want any problems. You guys have it. We'll stay down low and try win out a game that way. And it is possible, because we've just seen Benji do it, but it will be interesting to see if some of these other high ground teams maybe try to look to play their more natural style.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen, we mentioned points previously as well. Looking at Stompy and Co there as well. 1st and 2nd place after the first 2 games. Just placing points alone, that's massive. But getting the elimination as well, it's really helping to grow what they have. And let's see what happens in this next one. I think we're going to our game number 3, which is coming our way now as well. Tons more action, tons more fun. Can they do it again and get in that top 3? We'll have to find out. Let's head over to Sancho and to Shayo. Gentlemen, all yours.
Thank you so much, boys at the desk. It's kind of getting insane right now, Sancho. All these trios given so much space in the EU finals, and they're doing a lot with it every game.
Yeah, man, I'm really hyped right here what's happening. That Shayo, I know I can't hear you, but I know what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? I can feel it coming through my earway telepathically. Game match 3, here it is.
Absolutely, and we'll see Amatzo, Benji, and Amplify roll through as well off that win. Man, the most insane thing is so far, it just doesn't seem like, other than that first game, a team really has control of the entire match the whole way through. Right now, with everyone playing so reserved off their drops, now it's the 3rd game. Will that kind of switch? Will we see a team in control the whole way through? We'll have to wait and watch, because everyone gets to drop for free, basically. Scram actually gonna have a little bit of a cost over Astimi Stacks, but I've seen them come back even a man down.
What's really worked for Amplify Matzo and Benji is that fight at Holly Hedges. They didn't have to work really hard for Storm Surge tags. They took a box fight, which is they're very comfortable in against, and I think who went well with Deal's trio, right? They had that fight against Nico's trio. So there was just so many people, even Pink's trio was there. There were so many people that were there in that fight that allowed Benji to walk away with some crazy amount of Storm Surge tags, that allowed them to be free, allowed them to play their playstyle. But what playstyle has been working so far is Trulex, Stompy, and Peak taking height with that RPG.
They've basically done all the steps you need to do in competitive Fortnite very well. If you guys are very unfamiliar with how those early games usually drop out, it's making sure you get everything possible out of your POI efficiently. Obviously, there's so many shields available, especially in a spot like, Pleasant Park. If you're advised, you want to get just enough and then move out. From there in the mid game, get all those tags and then get a very good spot towards the end. I feel like Trulex is doing it better than anyone else. Sancho, you saw Reese and Levin, mention it before, how they always have someone inside that last circle, or when before those last circles start in the 4th and 5th circle. That spot is where everyone else is kind of tripping up in, and then from there you just try to win the game. They have height, it gets pretty easy.
I gotta say, I'm impressed with Advise's team right here. Coming into 6th place, this is a very interesting spot. Pleasant Park is not easy to have a successful run, considering that as well, you have the deal being up there on the further towards the coast. You have Tayson, Savage, and I drop down in the center. So, hey, so far, Advise's trio a lot of experience in that, a lot of multiple major event finals appearances, and it's showing because they're able to avoid that and make some decent rotations and get some decent points so far.
Thing is, though, they're usually on low ground, right? You're seeing it on screen right now. It's high ground that is usually king in EU. And honestly, comparatively to the world, really in EU. So I'm wondering how their day will look if they don't try to go push for height too many games and stay towards their low ground spot. They've been pinched out of it already in the last game. Low ground did end up winning that last game too, so maybe new patterns shown today. Right now, Kiku, Mosh, and Slender moving out of retail row. Not going to be the same look as game number 1. Sometimes people don't want to fight as much, have more of a peaceful route. If these guys are looking at dirty dogs, that's going to be scary, especially with a sniper for Namus, like in Thomas HD. I don't think they are right now, though, and that trio doesn't rotate down this path. This is really interesting. Why this? I don't think any trio takes this path specifically at all to get into the circle, but I might be wrong.
Well, the most dangerous thing is you have to think about it. I think Slender, Kiku, and Mashi are trying to find the scavenge route of people. Like, usually, if you want to go back to Vatos trio, used to make this crazy long rotation. So they're hoping that maybe they did see someone, they could catch someone. Let's take a look at the map here. This is going to be a south zone, and Misty Meadows already has 2 trios landing there. That's what Pizza, Artox, and Ardent are fighting right now. Look at this. Patty goes down. Sniper goes down as well, and they take out Vino, completing that wipe. Not a great start to the day for Knifers trio. Again, making that console switch over to PC track. Pizza, Artox, and Ardent showing strong, proving that they're not the ones to mess with at Misty Meadows. So, hey, zone pulls down here, Shyle. What does that mean? That means teams that are in the POI, in the safe zone, in their major POIs, have the freedom to roam around. That's going to be a big red flag for all those scavenger routes, as you see Nico's trio hanging out at the club. They have to keep it high alert, knowing that Misty Meadows trio is no doubt going to look for more.
This is a fight that can't afford to even go that far with that Misty Meadows trio, or Misty Meadows zone, excuse me, still in sight as well. I think every team knows whenever a zone pulls towards the south, it gets even more south side. I think we almost saw a trade of shots there as well at Coliseum. Meanwhile, towards that north side of things, see reason for deal no O'Reilly in a fight usually gets explosive fast, but not finding the best ways to get in. This is a very well fortified base on the mid ground.
And this is what's so dangerous about being on this side of the map. The deal, they will push you. If they see you, this is where they get the Storm Surge tags. They don't do it by basing up. They don't do it by going to center. They do it in some nasty box fight. And that's what Ingram, man, Ingram got basically evicted from Dirty Docks here. And so now they're going to try to survive as much as possible against a deadly buzzsaw of a trio here. And so far, they are surviving. Could be a matter of moments as Vox does get knocked down to the heels here. And Reason with the full tack push gets some big tags. Vox goes down. O'Reilly gets the knock right there. This is going to be a close to a wipe. Ingram down to the sliver of HP here, trying to survive as much as possible. Has a charged shotgun, doesn't get the big tag that he's hoping for, but just gives him a little bit moment to breathe. More pressure being applied to only now Wood Bills. Ingram now with the layer switch going up to the top. The deal getting his siphon on Kibu, actually getting the knock right there. Oh, okay. Ingram's not here. Okay, Ingram. Yo, that's a valiant effort. Valiant effort, man. Ingram's trio was hot in their treats. They qualified basically getting 3 games in. But man, that's just so much of a tall task. My question is, will Ingram go back to Dirty Docks after getting wiped like that from Badil's trio?
Seeing teams like Knifers just move all the way around the map. Seeing some Stevie Stacks team try different things as well. Mayhem, Shizo, Malibuka will be able to hold things down for now. Come on, let me see the skill. Almost. A few tags. Malibuka, nice. It'll be good for the damage and beneficial on the chase down as well, but this is where the other trio will be able to strike back. There we go. You'll be able to get a few shots on them for a bit, but the more you shoot, the more time you give Robnik to clap back as well. Bandages and medkits available. But once again, this is a long pull of a zone. It's gonna be tricky.
Hey, and that what tells me is that the Hunter's Haven is going to be a huge prime real estate for anyone getting storm stag on people rotating from the north side. Expect fireworks at Hunter's Haven. Also, the mountain ranges, everybody right now are already investing in that real estate. They already told people, hey, we're going to already build up on those big mountain POIs, because we know, Shia, when the zone pulls south here on the zone 1, those mountains will be at play. So this fight right here in the storm, it's going to be, hey, if you get 6 points here, that's going to be good on leaderboard. But that's not going to be good news, because when they rotate in, there's already going to be people sitting on the mountaintop beaming them down.
You don't have to beat around the storm at all. We already know what's happening here. Both these trio stories for this game in my eyes are over. I'm just rooting for and watching for who can win right now and take away those Elam points. Benji and Anaz popping off in the feed 2 somewhere inside the zone. We need to know how this Stevie kind of battle, this war is going to end. Robnik sniped while knocked. So, hey, I guess you don't have to worry about Storm Surge. But can you get to the fact where it even matters? Even in Colossal Coliseum, these guys don't care. They want to fight. Torento's Mustache, Julix still in the business of dealing damage. Dabble, fucking Bayon do not, like, they're not running.
You know what this feels like to me? An investment, knowing that you're going to lose, you're going to not see a profit for a couple of matches. You know that, hey, we may walk away with 0, 2, 4 points, whatever. But if we're able to condition this, remember, this is just day 1. So they're going all in here. If they're able to get this uncontested in day 2, hey, the skies are going to be looking, I guess, clearer, because right now it's just nothing but thunderstorms.
Straight up. And yeah, the zone's kind of closer to them right now, so they may be able to afford this fight. And there's a lot of medkits in tow as well. But you got to keep going more south and more south. You're talking about Hunter's Haven. That'll be a big pit stop for this trio. Lots of heals needed to get past that POI. They finally disengage. Which goes the question from me, why even try it at all? But it's to have control of the POI next game, to have confidence moving forward. No blue eyes here at all for Boyer or CRR. Both these guys fighting inside the storm. Kluja's down, so it'll be a 2v3. Nice bait from Boyer too. Switching guns, Leo definitely knows he's behind this now. Has control of almost every piece in this box, so it'll be very difficult for these guys to push through. It has to be a 2-man effort, maybe even a 3. Hellfire is winning on the backside, so they have a very good pinch here too.
This fight's breaking out. Boyer and Hellfire trying to hold on. CRR, we all know how dangerous of a boxer he can be. Of course, Leo, aka Leo the Crack, looking for the first crack into this match here. Now we're gonna take a look at zone here. You're seeing this zone. Look at it. Look at all the people already looking at Hunter's Haven. You're already seeing some people up on the mountaintops and south side. No doubt Analex is going to come in through. But that's what they're going to have to go up and over this mountain after the 0-point engagement. So far, this is the caliber of teams here, Shio. Once you have these big name teams, it's not going to be easy. We get through this trio in the heat or qualifier stage. You're going to have to earn these fights, and it's going to be a lot more, like you mentioned, a battle of attrition.
Damage above now for Boyer as well. The most interesting about that map shot is that the left side of the map is basically completely empty. Fight's very interesting, but I find that even more of a tasteful story, so to speak. I wonder who gets to control that over at Slurpee. ZQ finds the shots before Boyer can. This is not that pump hand cannon meta anymore, but still, shots were almost there for him. Hellfire trying the big beams. No clutch available from that trio this time. It's very tough to fight that 2v3, especially with the pressure of the zone near Hunter's Haven, though. We'll see a lot of people. No, this is near Caddy Corner, excuse me. A lot of people still in that pit stop. Or Rito Road Trio also is now inside. They were looking for shots at Caddy before. Now they've found a box to knock on.
Snazy, Analex, and Xweez need this box right here. They're below Storm Surge, so look for them to do what they can. You see Shizo's trio up on top here, and Analex is getting closer and closer to Slender, who's not trying to be converted into loot. Loot Boy is doing all that he can to survive here. It's a new pro team in the scene, the EU side of things. I kind of like that name, Loot Boy. I love it, but this is going to be where they have to hold on true. As Kiko is holding on with Mashi Slender. Now they're a 3 trio with the defensive stance right now on this layer fight. A lot of metal builds going out, so it's going to take a lot of ammo going through. Snazy looking for that first pierce. Can't get the ammo to go through the soft mats. That was close. Sniper shots ringing out, but this is important here. 74 below in Storm Surge. 10 people have to go down.
You guys are following the rules in this fight so well. You're not allowed to change layers. We can only shoot at each other's builds.
Yep.
Don't get closer than one box.
Yep.
Might have to throw rules out the window though if
Yep.
purple lightning starts to strike.
Yeah, this Squeeze is going in. Squeeze is going in. He's pushing in through. He's trying to get at least one big tag, maybe take a wall. But look at
what?
it. As soon as
trio up top.
that's what I'm saying. As soon as the feed lights up with one of these trios going down, Malibuka, Mayhem, and Shaiso having a prime opportunity to third party the strong. And we already saw that the zone in zone 3 is going to be a further way. Andalix and Squeeze want to get these elims and then rotate through the lake as fast as possible. That is their rotation mark when zone drops down here and they go up to Misty Meadows to look for upgrades. But all that plan is being thrown out the window because now they're fighting for their lives here and they're trying to avoid being lobbied. Snazy now all the way without any shields can be able, and here comes Storm Surge. Big tabs on Andalix and Squeeze now. Snazy fighting, holding on as much as possible. Peppers are not going to be able to get you out. 4 HP now and a dream, more like a nightmare, and out you go as Slender was able to hold on just a little bit longer and get them out.
So surprised that zone was so just good for Caddy in terms of moving around maybe towards Misty and finding a fight there, but the early rotation from Retail stops anything Squeeze and company have going. In case you guys are just tuning into the FNCS for the first time as well, I'm very confused as to what happened there. No, that wasn't a junk rift, and no one used the item to drop the lightning down. That was Storm Surge, which is, if you don't do enough damage inside the server compared to everyone else alive, and there's too many trios on the map, the server starts to do damage to you. So you need to get active, you need to fire shots just like CRR is. Squeeze unfortunately didn't follow that plan. He got stopped on rotation by a different POI moving in. Speaking of movement, every trio has to move towards now one of my favorite zones in Fortnite Battle Royale. It's the Misty / Hydro 16 collaboration with the islands in between.
It's always a hot collab. Just talking a look, Trulix's trio actually eliminated Pablo Wingo's trio. So those teams that like to fight for center, that is completely off the board right now because that dead center child is the lake.
The most important thing about that lake too is just getting towards the borders first to make the trip across. Right now, it's gonna be so hard for multiple amounts of players in trio. CRR, it's a 2-tick right now, 7 seconds left in the zone. He has 3 seconds now to find something. Jumps into Joe's box, can't break past the wall. Joe takes one big shot, but does not go down. Jerky's still alive with him. Now, for this zone, let's break it down. To get control of it, you need to be pushing, I feel like, some type of risk/reward type gameplay. You can be one of the highest ground teams on the edges, which is what everyone's pushing for, but if the zone does clap into the middle, you'll have to make a call. Will it stay on that island as you see on the bottom right side of the map? Will it push more onto the different side as well? This is one of the most polarizing zones to plan for. Right now, we've seen expert planning on very predictable paths for the Storm Circle, and EU's worked out with it. Trulix has, guessed right twice. But this is going to be more than just a guessing game. This is all up to chance as to where the zone bounces.
And no matter where you are, what level of competition, what region you in, if you're watching this, you know how difficult this can be. So many big names fail on this rotation. They fail in this in-game considering the aquatic floor is going to eat up a lot of mats as well. So much is on the line, and it all happens here on the final stage. We're in for a chaotic in-game here in match 3.
I almost forgot about the water too. I already packed my umbrella, had a towel.
Oh,
I was ready to go, so I was like, wait, why is it even harder? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's low ground's just not possible. And what last game, Sancho?
Low ground.
Low ground, exactly. So
that's right.
Now for heights, it might be even easier. But then once again, we just mentioned it, picking the right side of the circle is just very difficult. So to put the equation on the board and put an answer down, low ground is very hard to play. High ground is extremely hard to control off the rip. So on the top right side, you have a team that's very good at going for height. We'll see exactly what they do. You tune into the bottom right. Hen, Janice, and Chapix basically have a very nice bungalow apartment with a nice lake house view. Thing is, though, they're actually sharing with a lot of different people. Probably smells in there, my God.
Yo, it feels like this is the United Kingdom, this island right here, right? All this action here. You got the mainland down in France, literally, because Misty Meadows is always holding up in France. But if you're watching in the States, that's basically Ellis Island, and then New York is right over there, Manhattan, right? So much action that's happened here, and everyone's invested on this island. You talked about everyone has a big Fortnite island map to go and drop spot. That is out the door. You have one of the smallest islands in the game being held by so many big names in the EU region.
It's gonna be tricky. A bridge has to be built either way, island to land, no matter where the zone bounces. And there's still tags being traded across the edges. You think people are just playing passive, but you have to be very, very vigilant here, and it does bounce all the way towards the bottom right side, where a majority of those teams are held up. A huge bridge to make, though, for every team on that island. You will not be able to fly by plane. Vior going down completely to the Loot Boy trio. Still gets a knock post-mortem, and Savage is activating as he moves through the feed.
Hey, and you're not going to be able to go down that English Channel tunnel, brother. No planes, nothing. It's all you got to work your way, either bounce your way or target your way across. Here we go. Benji going down to the feet.
Oh, Benji went down to the feet. Oh no, Raxel takes him out. Ardent and Pizza also get knocked to the storm, I think. Or from fall damage, I'm not sure what that was, but now with 17 trios alive, it's all about placement. Pink's trying to gain control right now with a huge rocket from Trulex. They don't care. They just want the space, and they get it.
Wow, RPG in close quarters, literally 2 grids away. If it was any closer, it would have caused damage on the backside, but they're just trying to flex and let the lobby know you do not want any piece of the action. Look at that. They're sitting on the edge here of Zone 5. Everybody else is swimming their way across. Everybody else is trying to make their way, but it just shows you how difficult that rotation is. Not a lot of trios alive here going into the Zone 5. 16, we're already in placements. Usually it's Zone 7 and 8 that we get to that top 17.
I want everyone to put out 2 hands right now. Your left hand is a normal Battle Royale game. The right hand is the zone we have right now. On your left side, you usually have, if the zone bounces back, a lot of builds to work with, right? A lot of safety, a nice net. But now if you look at your right hand, that reality, no matter where this zone goes, everyone's running for free. There's no insurance. People will have to build, and it goes back through water where no one's built before. So really put that right hand in front of your face. Take a sniff. Just memorize it, because right now this is going to be a very real, unprecedented, difficult zone.
All I know, direction's unclear. I've coned myself. I need help. The storm's on my backside.
Dude, these teams need help too. What's Vidil doing in the sky? Okay, they had a god base. Now they have a low loadout / hideout. This is gonna be so interesting. To an island where no one's built. I don't even think this next zone has any land in it. It's fully water. So hope these guys have their boat rentals out. Maybe there is a boat to use as well. I would doubt at this point, though, it was even possible to rotate with. We have a lot of leaders on the right side. I see Teak, I see Savage's trio, Slender on low with Kiko, Anas pushing up for height as well. It's Flick who has it, but it's a big fight all the way up top. Flick building all the way out, looking for some damage all around to Pink, who's trying to get height again. It's not going to be possible. Thomas and Flick take him down. A pincer movement vertically, but they get RPG down below.
It's Trulix who has that RPG. Trulix is doing all that he can. Trulix is that head of the snake there. If Trulix goes down, a lot of their chances for taking height is not going to happen. And Flick and Thomas able to hold on to it, but they're being challenged by Savage and iDrop and Tayson. They're coming in. It's a battle between the big names of the EU region. And you're right, Shia, look it all down below. But it's the fireworks up top that we're going to keep an eye on. Flick, Anas, and Thomas HG barely survived that hold against Savage's trio, who are coming up for height. Savage's trio have to drop down. Now we have another big game.
Oh my God.
Janice goes down, and it's up to Hen, who has had the capability of solo clutching in the past. Can he do it? I think he can, but it's going to be so difficult because look, 7th zone is still basically close to this water. It's going to get nasty here. All eyes are in Hen for his trio. This is what Hen does. He gets the solo points where he has no business to, and he almost picks up an Elim right then and there.
Still staying alive all the way on this side, though. And moving up layers as a solo, one of the most difficult and dangerous things you can do, but he doesn't care. He's confident. 3 seconds of the storm, though. You got to move 5 different builds, too. It's all up to the shots. It's a charged shotgun, which means it'll be one big bullet that he has to hit. 2 little snakes of movement as well. As high ground is also getting interrupted. iDrop is still pushing for it on the left side of your screen. Don't mind the clutch. Let's look at the game states. iDrop on top of this box right now. Flick out of mats too. Not last alive though. He has to make this clutch.
Hen is still alive, getting an elim, and it was Noah Riley getting some damage on Hype for a moment. And now you have Raxo here on the low ground, in getting a knock on iDrop, so close, but walks out the door with 3 elims. Now let's take a look at here as we gotta take a moment to breathe here, but Savage does not have that opportunity. No, he doesn't. Savage gets eliminated from Raxo. Anas Thomas HC on Hype. Now they have to come down because so much mats have been expended, but they're not afraid. They're going down into the fray, getting some big time elims. Anas cooking up 7 elims between Thomas HD. Can the duo survive here in the 9th and final zone, going back into the zone to find some big time loot?
Top 3 still activating right now. Mosh has survived all the way on the low ground and also on the backside as well. 3 total eliminations, 7 for the trio. And he goes down in 3rd place. It's a new trio all the way up on height. We have Stasty. We've got Miro and Swag all looking good for the moment, but can they finish and clinch the game? That's the question. Almost 2 different trios alive. It's a 2v3 and Kuko took a big shot. Barely any damage on the field. Oh no! Swag goes down and 2 big pumps on the backside flank. It's huge by Mosh. What a win. What an insane amount of elims too. And man, what a zone.
What a zone, and want to finish him. Mossy with the cheeky play, able to come from the storm and then snatch that victory royale away from Swag. Wow. What a game for match 3, dude.
3 different high ground retake denials. Then we have like 3 different people clutching down below. 3 different moving circles that are so hard to track. We need 3 more people to break this down, Sancho. Adam Reese Levin, show us what you got.
Yeah, a massive shout out there as well to Sancho and Shia, who absolutely, like, the energy is unbelievable, boys. I love it. I love it. So good. We're talking about smells, what you can smell. It's crazy. Guys, that was, again, as the chaps mentioned there, so much action, so much taking place there at the end game there. We saw so many people taking it back and forth. And we love nothing more than a circle that finishes over water. Am I right?
We love it. The players may not love it as much, but it created an extremely exciting game. And you know, that end game changed up over and over again. Who was on high ground. You know, we saw during the moving zones, we saw Flick and Ass Thomas HD take it early on. You know, that's their crucial play style. This is what they always try to do in that earlier zones. But guess who was coming up behind them? Pink, Trulex, and Stompy. You know, 3 games in a row trying to use that rocket launcher to their advantage. But unfortunately, they just get too split, commit too much. And, you know, we saw Thomas HD hit a big shot, pick one off. And, you know, their height was controlled, it seemed like, for the rest of the game.
I'm not even focusing on that. I'm focusing on my Portuguese Magnificos. The Portuguese boys picking up the victory royale. I am so happy for these guys because they are, you know, one of the more underrated trios, right? Not one of the fan favorites by any means. They're fan favorites in Portugal, I'll tell you that much, right? Some of the biggest players out of that region. I think when you look at how they were able to win that game, super impressed by them. I think if they can sort of continue along this form, you know, there's a chance for them. They're one of those teams where they rely on momentum, right? They can have a couple pop-off games, not necessarily going to be consistent throughout the course of a whole 12 games. A couple more games like this, and they can find their way up there in the standings. So who knows what's in store for these guys.
Yeah, there were some crucial eliminations earlier on as well. I think it's definitely worth talking about. Very relevant to what happened at the end game as well.
Yeah, you know, we saw what teams were going to be focused on was Noah Riley, Resin, and Vadil. You know, these guys were still alive in the end game. They ended up coming 8th, but we kind of looked at this a little bit earlier, their Storm Surge strategy. You know, these guys are landing in that sweaty sands, and they're rotating over to that west side of the map to fight Egram's team here, because, you know what, Storm Surge has become super crucial, and we've watched a ton of teams ended up going down Storm Surge because they don't have it. And let's be real, have you just seen what Noah Riley's just done to Egram there?
Yeah, one of the best players on the world mechanically. When it comes to like Noah Riley and Vadil, I've referred to them in the past as yin and yang. They are just so much like just well in sync. And those guys picking up that elimination is huge for their Surge. If you take a look at a team that was seemingly struggling for Surge and it ended up being their demise, and Alex, Squeeze, and Snazy ultimately going down, right? Some of these teams are going to have to fight for Surge. That's just what happens, right? People will be like, oh, that's not a great strategy. The way it stands, that is sometimes what you just have to do. Noah Riley and Vadil, they're a team that will take that in their stride, right? They're going to look to do that. They feel comfortable doing that. And Andalex, on the other hand, they go down as a result of it. A big concern for those guys in terms of looking forward. Hopefully they can sort of readjust and reshape. Taking a look at these standings, though, not a surprise. I feel like I'm saying this every single time, guys. Pink, Trulex, and Stompy in first place still. Benji, Matson, Amplify still in first place. Flick, Anas, and Thomas, though, shaking things up a bit. The Guild Boys going back and forth, it seems. Hen now being pushed down to 4th. Super impressed by Flick and Thomas. Like Reese said, finally sort of taking things into their stride, playing a bit of their more natural style, looking for height. This is what I want to see from these guys. If they start looking for height more often, they were bound to win a game here soon enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we saw the top two teams that we had there both went out in 15th and 14th place, respectively. So Pink, Trulex, Stompy, and then also Amplify, Matzo, Benji. Both of them went out 14th and 15th place, respectively. So only 2 or 3 placement points to their name and only a couple eliminations. So not a huge game from our top leaders. So that's definitely closed the gap up a little bit. So it's definitely getting closer. But on the next page, you know, we saw right there, Kiko, Slender, Mosh picking up that big Victory Royale. Before that game, they had 2 points. So not off to a hot start at the beginning because, you know, they were landing that retail. They were looking uncontested to start with. And, you know, they've not performed as well when they've been contested here. But when they were uncontested during the qualifiers and in the semis, they performed massively. Really, really consistent placement. So today, you know what? They struggled a little bit in those earlier games when they were. And right now, they've clearly figured something out. And not only did they win that game, something I think we kind of missed out a little bit is they managed to pick up the Victory Royale with 13 eliminations. So that's a 56-point game. The most points we've had out of these 3 games so far.
Absolutely insane stuff, man. When I spoke to Mosh earlier today, do you know what he said to me? He said, I'm feeling a little top 7, and he's sitting in 7th place right now. He literally said, I'm feeling a top 7. He's sitting in 7th place now. If he finishes in 7th place by the end of the 12 games, there's something going on. There's power in words, clearly.
There's something,
right?
Yeah.
Something. And you know what?
I'm feeling a top 7. I'm feeling it.
It's oddly specific, right? You know?
So specific. I don't know
really
where he got that
specific.
from, but sure.
Crazy. I would give a shout out to Hen as well. There's nothing I love more than seeing, a play on his own. Teammates have gone down, just trying to survive it as long as possible to rein in those placement points. We all have this kind of, we want to get wind in their sails, just get them as far as we can. I love to watch that kind of stuff unfold.
Absolutely, you know, and you see, like, this is going to happen to nearly every team today. They're going to have all of these times where they're going to be playing as a team. Someone goes down, they have to clutch up, and those are some of the best hype moments.
Yeah, they absolutely are. Guys, we are actually, would you believe it, at the halfway point of the EU FNCF Finals Day 1. There are 3 more games coming your way in the EU region right after a short break. Do not go anywhere. There is so much more action coming your way right after this.
Welcome to the Reboot Rundown. If you missed it, there was a special reboot round which included all the best teams that couldn't make it past the semifinals. Everyone had one more chance. Only the team with the Victory Royale in the single match could make it to the finals of this FNCS. With these types of stakes, we saw the craziest action and display of dominance throughout every region. Today, we're going to show you just 3 of those stories from Europe, North America East, and North America West.
For EU, it was Flecken, Aloft, Diablo, and Bayon who clinched the Victory Royale with a thrilling heal-off that went down to the final second. Flecken gets chosen to try and heal off and win the game as a solo. With no mats, he's forced to go into the heal-off 29 seconds before the zone closes. The medkits can't be used here because he's already in zone and the other team has a huge advantage on time, so he needs to do something and make a play to win the game. Dropping to low ground, he finds the most crucial elimination, netting him 50 extra HP from Siphon, 2 floppers and cabbages, enough to make up the time difference and win him the reboot round. You could feel the hype in this final moment.
An opportunity here, right here. Flecken has the win condition for the heal off there, but can a trio there? Okay, he found the Elim, gets a little bit more Siphon now. He's in it. He's all the way committed. Gray is going to go for the med kit. He does have an opportunity to walk away. A top 3 situation here, Sayo.
He's trying for it. Everyone now in helo mode. Gray's all the way up top looking for it. Flecken gets a big Siphon as well. MXR is trying to delay anything, but it's head-to-head. Flecken versus Gray. He's got cabbages and floppers. Gray will have to drop down and find this elimination. Flecken with the flops. Pops one over. That's his last. Gray, 2 seconds. 1. It's over. And it's Flecken with positioning, aggression, and heals to win the European reboot round. Now in NA East, people were playing for heal-offs too, but there was one team with a very different goal in mind and a mission to continue their legacy in this FNCS finals. They weren't going to lose. NRG Zate, Train H Saf, and Liquid Stretch. Names synonymous with greatness and a history of success, no matter what team they were on. These guys chose to attack the POI with the most explosive potential, Hydro 16. Endgame gave us the pleasure of watching the classic split this trio does so well, making sure no one could touch them on height with constant pressure from all angles. In EU, height changed hands 7 times, but in NA East, no one dared to challenge the Kings at their throne. With no bounce back zones, everyone on low ground ran out of mats way quicker. The likelihood of a heal off looked so low, and they didn't even have to touch the reserve of heals they had at all. They made their performance look absolutely flawless. This was one of the most legendary comebacks of one of the greatest teams to touch competitive Fortnite.
Dubs is in shambles. Mega's back in Storm. He finds more meds though. He gets more splashes. He gets more floppers. Is this enough? He can pull off the double med kit. They RPGs them. They take down Dubs, but they don't take down Mega. He's deep in Storm. Stretch is setting up. He's looking. He's got the meds, but he's also got the eyes in the sky. Who has more meds? Stretch or Mega? Mega went out deep. He went in early. He's pushing back in. He knows he doesn't have it. He can't get the med kit off. That's it. As long as Stretch heals this, Zayt, Saf, and Stretch will be going through to the grand final. Wow. Stretch holds on to his history.
NA West, a region where you can expect the unexpected. Coming into this reboot round, it was a pure wildcard match. Each team had an equal chance of clinching that victory royale and qualifying for the finals. The way Jeffers, Union, and Dardis clutched up had the heal-off meta involved with a little bit of spice. Dropping Holly Hedges, there was a ton of heals to be found. 6 chug splashes along with more from a loot llama, with some additional seasoning of 6 peppers to speed up their luck and position on the map. In the final duel in NA West, it was time for an upset. It looked like solo FNCS champion Vert and his trio, who was slated to come back and win the reboot round, had it all in the bag. Jeffers' trio had other plans. They made a crucial play in disrupting the heal-off, and the rest is history.
Chug Splash is there. Does he have enough to put pressure from high ground, though? He's got to keep Chug Splashing, got to keep throwing, got to keep going for it. No! There's a player on the other side. Is he going to go down? He got knocked!
It's Vert. Vert's in the zone. It's Vert versus Jeffers. Vert has to find Jeffers up on the high ground, but Jeffers has the peppers. He's popping a pepper. Chug Splash is going through. The medkit won't matter. Vert has to go find him, and Jeffers says, "Toodaloo, I will see you in the finals. You'll be watching. I'll be playing, baby."
How far will these teams go? Will the addition of aggressive fighters, historic legends, or a team that gets one more chance at fame change the story of the FNCS finals? We've made it past the reboot. Now it's time to play out the rest of the game. Keep your seatbelts on, Fortnite fam. We'll see you at the finals. Beep beep.
Hello there and welcome back to the FNCS finals. It is the EU's turn. It is 3 games down, 3 to go. Sancho, Shayo are ready and waiting. It's game 4. Lads, take it away.
Man, it just feels like, honestly, I've seen it all, Sancho, right? Halfway point of the first day, and we've had the most variety of flavors from EU in these end games.
Oh yeah, we have people who come from scavenger routes. We have people with an RPG, people from the low ground. We have trios who are big names making some big statements. We have the new trios who are trying to get their first championship, but also their first appearance here in the FNCS Heat finals, making some noise.
Yeah, and it's not only just the end game, even the earlier, right? We're seeing some very good pivots and war that's going both ways. Like for Kiko, these guys were completely contested game 1. Now a very good rotation in game number 4 that we're watching currently on your screen. Past that as well, we saw some crazy stuff at Steamy that I thought would just go and Dreada's way 24/7, but in the last game, they got taken out. We've seen high ground dominate. We've seen a low ground win from Benji that was just so good, and a completely aquatic zone that I'm still not dry from.
Man, we had a great finish, and we're expecting a great finish here at the end of day 1. And I would just like to make this point. At their heat, Thomas AC, Flicken, and Nos, in games 3, 4, and 5, that's when they went supernova. So I'm expecting them to maybe go supernova. Now, it may not be a 26 elim game with a second place finish, and it may not be a 17-13, but supernova in the finals would be, I would say, a 10 elim game, right? That is totally in their, I guess, in their wheelhouse. So expect Thomas AC, Flicken, and Nos to keep their momentum going if they continue to get Dirty Docks uncontested.
Why not go for 26, man? Just push for it. It's the finals 100%, right? Yeah. That much more difficult. You're absolutely right that 10 is, you know, unexpected, seriously, from a lot of teams to really perform with. So when it happens, it's huge.
This is going to be a great start for Analyx's trio. Last time they ran into a roadblock. They had Kiko's trio stopping them on this rotation. This time they understand that. They went a little bit more early, so avoid that retail row. And essentially now they got some great tags at the Freddy's trio, which is making as well their rotations. But this is what Snazzy, Xweez, and Analyx like to do. They rotate through that lake. They go through Misty Meadows to get refreshes. Maybe they upgrade through the character. But then if zone continues to go south, expect this trio to go up the mountainside and build up a base. But it looks like Truex, Pink, and Stompy. I'm telling you, dude, that's center of zone 1 right there. Wherever they are, you know that that's dead center.
If you guys are used to, you know, just watching the broadcast today, this is a game we're tuning in slightly later from, so we haven't seen a lot of those off-spawn fights. As you can see, almost 9 players down. Now it's near 10. That's why I always say almost, because, you know, things can happen while we talk, and 3 trios are already gone. Look at Hen's trio, though. Top 10 every game. That's a fact. That is just bars, because I've seen these guys just struggle with Surge. Sandra, you were surprised off that first game that they even made it, but it was because of Thomas's snipe that they made it all the way through as well. So, you know, Sniper's big undertow today. The Vior trio has been tricky, and it's always in the desert, kind of where, you know, their plans falter. Run into a team, don't get enough tags. Surge is an issue. I hope they can overcome that in this game. They've got a full selection of trios, you know, dabble and dip from. Question is, who will Gripey shoot first?
And this is what's so difficult as well. I gotta put the cherry on top, and this cherry is not a friendly looking cherry. It's a deadly red cherry that's gonna be a reminder that you're gonna have to pay the toll crossing into Hunter's Haven. Hunter's Haven may not be a great drop spot. It is a prime storm stage spot for a lot of players. It looks like Pink Trulex already understanding that there's new zones revealed, making their way using the vehicle rotation towards center again. So this is what they do. They have so far not faltered as they send a shot towards Amplify, Matzo, and Benji, who are sitting looking for Storm Surge tags at the top of the Slort Factory. But here they go. Up and up the mountain they go with that. I don't think this has 4-wheel drive, but it's making their way up this mountain.
Oh, it's gas mileage too.
Yes, very affordable, very eco-friendly. Actually, that's not Benji's trio. They already rotated early, knowing, understanding that this zone is going to be treacherous. So Matzo, Benji, and Amplify have rotated early, but look as well, Paxo's trio has rotated as well. That's a trio coming from Logjamming, so there's a lot of traffic already heading into this wedge.
So now we're in a little bit of a standoffy situation as well.
Shayo, I'm going to test you here. Do you remember in our heat, in Heat 4, we had an in-game here? We had an in-game here at Flood Factory. It was the last game of the day. And that in-game led to a great performance from Benji, who were able to be there. But whoever claimed that top of the mountain was able to walk away. And that was Andalex's trio that had hold of that mountainside. Right now, no one does have that prime position. So expect some fireworks to happen right then and there to go then. Hey, let's go, Mando. Get your first elim, baby. Let's go.
Big snipes from Mando. We all know they only happen when you're flying to the island off the bus, not when you actually drop down.
I'm sure I've triggered some people like these casters cheering on Mando. Cut the man some slack. You know, he's here to try to help us here. Jonesy brought him in here to help us. You know what I'm saying?
Let's just look at the skies though still to see what the leaderboard looks like on the left side of your screen. Pink, Trulex, and Stompy. 3 games. No one kind of interrupting their reign, but they were in the lead by what looked like 25 points. Now that's lessened down to less than even just 10. It's a 7-point lead for them so far. Anas, Flick, and Thomas very close behind in third. And it's actually very close all the way around. One good game, one difference of placement in the top 5 can really shift the standings here. So this game is very important.
This is such a strong position that they were, knowing that they have that heavy AR as well. They're going to be really accurate, and those shots are going to hurt. So they are below Storm Surge, but they're very comfortable being there. The Vior trio, on the other hand, they're going to have to pick a fight going forward because a lot of their Storm Surge tags do happen in rotations. But hey, you poke the bear that is Hen, Janison, and Chapix, you're going to have to resolve in a big fight. But looks like Hen, Janison, Chapix, they don't want this fight, but now they have no choice.
Gotta go back and save Chapix, and Till's all the way on the walls as well. You'll notice Till was shooting and his damage was still going down. That's because 17 people right now are basically required to go down for Surge. Everyone is dealing so much damage. Reason knocked down in the feed. Pink going down as well. Very uncharacteristic for that trio. Is he going to be full finish is the big question. Egram is still bounces all the way forward. Now these guys have positional advantage. He can build forward, look back, and shoot. But there's more people looking back into the storm line as well. 55 below. The ticker keeps falling. It's like this meter has gravity, but now they bounce all the way up. Let's defy the laws of physics. That's cool. Vior is still not comfortable though, right? They're not deciding their fate right now on this damage. They're getting no tags. The server is just blessing them for this moment.
Still, that's a dangerous trio. Hen's trio is one of the elite box fighters in the EU region. You do not want to do that. As you see now, the Stormsurge tags, they weren't hitting their shots. That is the risk you take. If you go to center early, you rotate early to the first and second zones, you have to hit your shots, kid. And if you don't hit your shots, you're going to feel the rain and pressure of the purple lightning. And Stompy and Pink and Trulix, who Pink already went down. So that slowed down their shot-taking skills for the moment because they had to pick up their teammate here. So this is not a good situation for Stompy, Pink, and Trulix.
And they're not trying to heal off right now. They're just trying to buy some time. It's a possibility for that heal off to come through, but Pink has been full eliminated here.
Speaking of
I think
full
on the
elimination,
Stormsurge as well, yeah. There's no knock.
Thomas HT, that whole trio is gone. Eliminated, out.
What?
Sixth place.
Wow.
Already. Wait, what place will they come in here? Fifth place, gone already. No, third place. They were third going into this match. Gone already, brother.
On the leaderboard. The matter of the fact is, you know, you're talking about third, fifth, fourth, or second. This is our first place trio right now that has been affected by this surge.
In shambles.
Think about it this way. This is the reason why everyone has adapted. They're used to now how the zone is playing out. We just had a south zone before where the north side of the map did not know how to play, didn't get tags in time. And when they moved down to this new country, the new south side of the zone, it wasn't that pretty for them. The luggage wasn't, you know, packed properly. The zippers weren't tight. They didn't have a house to move into. Now they know all of that. So every other team that was kind of lackadaisical, every other team, I would say like Trulex's, who weren't really, you know, getting to the airport on time, gets denied space on the flight to make it to the end of this game. They're not ahead of Surge. They go down. That's unfortunate.
And all it takes is an opportunity for a refresher to catch that second flight. These are the people that are rotating late. They're migrating late from the north side of things. So because center zone went down, they're going to be able to get some decent rotations. Now they're on the edge. Now they're going to catch some people that totally miss everything and that did not have their alarm clock set for this rotation. So a very dangerous situation to be for Mr. J and a Milwaukee there, who are just ready there. Yeah, they're sitting right there with light. Now, hey, we had some fireworks going over there. For some reason, I must be in the mood for the 4th of July here, but Han, Jennison, Chapix here, able to survive their rotation, pick up Chapix, and now they have a moment to breathe. They do like to recycle builds here in Hydro 16, but you don't want to be down here, dude. This is not a good spot to be down. You got to go up and over this elevation that's right in front of them on the south side. And yes, they have to go up and over. And look at all the other trios that have to go up and over. This right here is going to be a very dangerous rotation.
You guys pack your rock climbing gear because we have to move up a mountain soon. And at the same time, following through with the airport analogy, what's the worst part about airports, Sancho?
Worst part, yeah, you have to go through the security lines
and the lines, exactly, the lines. And look on the mini map right now, lines and lines of trios stuck together in these boxes, and they can't move until someone else moves. It's very difficult, but also very different on the other sides of things when you've already landed. Reason, Deal, Noah Riley, complete dead side of zone. And it's very, very quiet here too. Possibly looking for a snipe, but hey, they're holdout. Everyone here is having a hunky-dory time.
And this trio right here, when they are not aggressive, they already pushed out that scavenger route at Egram. They already got the storm surge tags. This is why they decided to dead side rotate. If they catch someone else, they're gonna push them. But looks like someone caught them for a moment in some big tags here. It is the German team of Lane Robnik here getting some big tags coming from all the way the opposite side of the map. There's only 3 teams on the dead side right now, and there's one already in the safe zone. And no doubt Vidil's trio had their eyes on that team that's already sitting in that safe zone, but they got slowed down here. Han, Janice, and Chapix here now making their rotation on the long side, but look at the names that are running into them. You still have Kinzel Waking Deceptos, who had a phenomenal, great run in the heats. Still in a decent position here so far in the finals.
What's What's the most recognizable part or the most distinct part about a face, Sancho? The eyes, nose, and mouth, correct? The nose, yes. Below the hair. If you took a look at that zone previously, if you look at the map right now, all these trios up top, you know, the most prominent thing you have on your head is your hair. They're basically all the hair in this map right now, in this zone. They're gonna be clumped up together. Nothing phenomenal can happen from their spots. They won't gain control. But the visual features of the face, the eyes, nose, and mouth right now, are all those southern trios. Noah Riley, Vidil, the people rotating with them too. Right now, Hen is just caught in the waves, caught in the luscious locks of damage happening all the way up top on this side. He's nowhere he can really move. There's not a decision he can make. Savage goes down here because of this. There's no room to actually make something of yourself right now. An extra box built up is a target for every other follicle that's on the map. It's next to you as well. It's very tricky to survive here, but we go and focus more so on that nose and mouth. We're pulling towards the south. Shave your head. You have to move now and give up your position. That will be very difficult and dangerous. What is this? A barbershop. 7 different teams. Beaming Mosh. These guys have the best rotation, Sancho. The best. And they're locked down here.
Yeah, the Storm Surge tags came through, and that gave the lobby signal to go ahead and eliminate, full wipe that Victory Royale winner from match 3. So hey, match 4, there's going to be a new winner here, and right now Vidil's trio, Vidil in game is going to be dangerous. So let's keep an eye on the feed as you see Savage and Tayson going down, Queasy going down here. So a lot of big names are losing out on this rotation, but look at it. Hen is basically challenging CRR's trio. So once CRR gets inside that edge, expect them to turn their focus on Hen. That's gonna be so dangerous for Hen to survive here. But let's take a peek at who is in the safe zone. This is gonna be a prime opportunity for Vidil, Reason, and Noah to not only move up the leaderboards, but get a lot of elims here. And they're gonna go against Eunice right now. Let's see what kind of box fight they have. And high ground retake is up there. Reason actually has, but Eunice with some great defense. Builds up a little bit, but Reason with the bouncer gets a big tag on Eunice's and shoves him off the high ground and says, "This is mine, young fella, this is mine."
I don't know, there were binds to actually use your hands to push people down, but Noah Riley definitely has those bound. And right now, as the most unassisted elims of any player, that is a saucy stat. This means that this man can operate. You can leave him alone and not worry. That's not usually what you have with a teammate who's by himself, but you gotta know, Levin talked about it, yin and yang. The yin can also be by itself and do damage.
It's the power of the purple charged shotgun. Fully charged, you find the angles, you understand where people are rotating, you will do some max damage.
And now we look at the theme of this entire game. If game 4 was an essay paper, the title would be Congestion versus Control. Right now, the ones in control are these 3 trios near the top, Robnik, Reason, and it looks like it's about to be Snazy in just a little moment. Everyone else is kind of has been congested, squeezed, constricted this entire time. Look at the HP bars. You can tell who's had a rough ride and who's had space. If you see any black near it, any blue shield missing, white HP affected, that means they had trouble in this game. They've been constricted.
Vidil's trio has the opportunity to close the door on this match. Trulix's trio is gone, so RPG is not going to be able to contest right then and there. You also have Andalix's trio gone. They're not going to be able to make some noise. I'm sorry, it's Thomas HC's trio is gone. They're not going to be able to make some noise there. So the people that normally look for height are not going to take it away. Andalix is still alive there on the front side of the zone alongside with the Squeeze. No doubt that's going to be a full strong trio. But this is all Noah Riley's Vidil's and Reason to not only win, but put some big time points on the board.
And right now, height was just so irregular. Going off a mountain, we went skydiving. Every single trio bouncing towards the ground. That means, though, that Vidil Reason could not pick up the same amount of elims they usually would. Still, though, with 5 to start this endgame. That's huge. On low, Advise going down. The regular low ground squad is not going to be there to play the game, but Kinzel finally shows his face at one of the first times in the European finals so far. Jerky takes out Benji, Fishy, and Noah Riley gets the full elimination as well. He's pushing forward still. 2 more elims picked up by Reason, it looks like, as well. And they have complete control in a very unique space as well, all on the same box.
Yeah, and looking like the defeat, it was Amplified trying to go solo, but gets taken out as well. So that trio is gone. Another top finish. Reason picking up an Elim on Artor. It is Miro here trying to hold on for his trio mates. Coming into second place in the previous match here. Trying to hold on. Catches Mawaka there on the dead side. Rotate. Big Elim does get some mighty need of some metal here just to be able to hold on just a little bit longer. Has one flopper in rotation. Miro can definitely get some more points here, Shio.
He's trying for the clutch. Meanwhile, Black, he's popping off on mid-ground, takes out one player, but then gets responded to by Teak, who takes out DKS and that full squad. Reason's still on height. He's working it. Everyone in mid-ground has no
Miro's gone.
heals or shields available. Miro goes down, and now the one trio who's been so good in mid, Seti and Teak, are getting focused by Reason. Meanwhile, everyone on the backside is getting completely deleted. They're gone. Melgar taken out by Teak as well. 4 elims for him, 6 for the total trio. It almost looks like a regular 2v3, but there's one more team in the way in this final 3.
We also see Barox and Michael and Mexi, so their change of location is still ringing true. It just shows how strong of a trio that can be. Can they get that victory out? It is possible. Now the Storm is pushing back. That's going to give some more time for Reason and O'Reilly to apply more pressure. And Teak is now left to himself here. Cassetti goes down. So now we have a battle between one solo and 2 full trios here. Can Teak survive? Now he's just trying to hide as much as possible. He does have some floppers in his inventory, so if it does go to a heal condition, he may be able to walk away with the Victory Royale, but I just don't see it. Reason and Vidil, no O'Reilly are going to just apply a lot of pressure, and they're going to get right into your face. Teak now has no floppers on the down right, and Teak gets found by Mexi's trio. So now it's a battle here, 2 trios at height and at low.
Reason's looking to take control of the entire server for the lead. Verox is looking for a way to get back into the tournament. 67 points, he goes down, but trades with Vidil. So it looks like it's a 2v2, and Michael is going for height. Box fight with Reason. One quick square, and it's not going to be enough to trip him up whatsoever. Reason still has height all the way up top, but now zone's still ticking. It's getting smaller. Not much room to work with. Michael has to fall all the way down. One tack shot, 19 damage. Big means Reason does not miss. He's a perfect player, and he takes the shot, but now it's a 1v1. Mexi on low. Reason, does he have the mice to stay on height is a question. The zone's also moving slightly. Mexi's out of mats. He can't do much at all. Just shots available. Reason looking down, takes some damage. No shields. Health ticking. It's so close. Reason no heals too. Is going down to the wire. Ooh. And Reason gets the last shot. What a clutch. What a play from one of the most aggressive players in Europe's region.
Wow, 14 elims and 104 points, and more importantly, the Victory Royale. They made that rotation early, held on to height, and walked away with a big-time score.
We saw early Trulux went down on a lot of those top 5 teams. So for Reason there, that's huge. That could be the lead for Europe as well. For Verox surviving to the end with Teak, both those teams came in at 30 points. They were looking for a way to get back in the top 10. So how does that story change? We'll have to find out what the desk has for us.
Oh, yes. That's what we wanted to see. That is what we wanted to see. And a great example as well of teams who didn't have that many points coming into game number 4, and suddenly, boom, they're progressing their way up right to the top of the table there. We saw a lot of action there. We saw the fact that, I want to talk about actually the fact that we lost one of our leaders really early on in the game. How did that impact the rest of game 4?
I mean, we know our leaders right now are Pink, Trulex, and Stompy. These guys are landing that Hydro Jam. They have the rocket launcher every game, and we've seen the first 3 games, they have been going for a height no matter what. They claim it early, or if not game 3, for example, they went to take it from Thomas Flicker and Ass with a rocket launcher there. But because it went down so early, that enabled Resin to take that high ground early in his trio. They pretty much maintained it throughout the entire moving, but one of the things that I want to pick up on is the pure mechanical prowess of Resin in that endgame. Like, when it comes down to building mechanics, taking the high ground there from Michael with such ease, and on top of that, the aim that he put down into Michael's head, barely missed a shot. Huge clutch. What an endgame that was.
Yeah, look, I'm not gonna lie. I thought as us, right, us 3 here on the desk, I thought we were the best British trio on the day, right? I thought, no other British trios are really gonna be able to show us up, but
Still are, okay.
Still are. Look, Michael, Verox, and Mexi, though, trying to just impress, trying to show what they can do. People had doubts with these guys, right? Because obviously they're typically landing dirty docks, right? Verox has literally been landing dirty docks since it was a POI in the game. And so to see them leave was a bit like, we understand Thomas and Flick are so dominant, but why are you guys leaving? Like, this is your home. And so seeing them being able to still find some success, second place is a huge game. They didn't get a victory out, but second place is huge. Seeing them being able to still have some success, super happy for these guys.
It's great to see Reason as well. There's been a few highlights of his across the last, kind of like few games. Suddenly we're seeing him dominate that high ground, which even when people try to infiltrate and get up top there, the fact that he can actually close it down and keep it is testament to him, really.
Yeah, and we mentioned in there, Stompy going down because of this issue in the early game. And what was that, Levin?
Storm Surge, man. Yeah. Storm Surge is so difficult to deal with. You can see Pinky, he gets tagged by Storm Surge, it brings him down to 5 HP, and then at that point, he's just fodder, right? He is just absolute lobby fodder. There's not much he can do. Look, these guys, right, it was difficult for everybody in that lobby. That game was so stacked. Nobody wanted to go down, it felt like, and so you get these situations where teams like this, teams who are really good teams, genuinely, are just going to end up going down to Surge. You can see Stompy, he's trying to out-heal it, right? But eventually, you're going to run out of heals. You're going to be such low HP that there is just not much you can do whatsoever. And I'm thinking, if games do continue to sort of play out like this, like, these guys are going to have to think, we can't lose our lead, right? We need to figure out what we're going to do. Props to Stompy, though. He didn't go down without a fight, right? Like, he did get a knock on Ref's guard before going down, but then Hellfire does take him out. What can these guys do to avoid having more 0-point games like the one they had? Because look, just one 0-point game and their top spot is gone.
Oh my, I was not expecting that at all. We knew Vidil, No Riley, and Rezon had a big game, 14 eliminations, victory royale, massive game, but I did not expect it to swing up this much. We've seen Amplify, Matzo, and Bench as well in second place. Not really gained too many points over these last few games. We mentioned in the game before that they placed 15th, just getting a couple of placement points. And again, this last game, they placed 14th. So they're really struggling in their mid-game rotates and positioning for Storm Surge because we knew it was a huge issue there. And, we would have thought, based on the zone, that interestingly enough, the two teams who had that zone, because Pink, Trulex, and Stompy, who are in that area, they actually got eliminated in their own drop spot, ironically enough. And then also Benji's team, who is in Slurpee, so very, very close, so barely any rotates. Both struggle with Storm Surge a ton.
Yeah, super impressive stuff, though, from No Riley, Reason, Video. Look, I get a bunch of people messaging me, right? They'll be like, Levin, it's grand finals. Can No Riley, Reason, and Video, can they do well in a stacked grand final lobby? Well, there's your answer. They can. They have that potential. They have that ability. We can't count these guys out. They're going to continue to do this over the course of 12 games where they have these games where they just are so dominant. Will they be able to maintain first spot in the continuation of today? Who knows? Taking a look, though, at the leaderboards, though, right? Some of the top teams, Cammy, City, and Teak, sort of finally making an appearance in that top 10. I dropped Tayson and Savage. We talked about Tayson in the beginning of the show. Can he do the treble, right? Picking up another FNCS championship. Who knows? The winners of the previous game, Kiko, Slender, and Mosh, falling out of the top 10 there. Interesting stuff, man. Things can change so quickly game to game.
They really can. And, that's what we said. We've seen Vidil, No Rally, Rezon get that massive game. And what's interesting about them is, like, this is typical fashion, right? These guys, if you're looking through their placements in terms of every single match, they're not a team who's like 5th, 3rd, 1st. Nah, they're going to go out, no eliminations, one game, 33rd place, something like that. Next game, they're going to drop a 14 elimination win, right? This is their play style. They're guys who have big matches and they just perform in these games. So, you know what? We may see them kind of drop down the leaderboard, but I guarantee you they're going to have another game like that.
Yeah, I mean, we're a third of the way through now. We're 4 games of 12. I mean, this is when I think players may start changing. If you're particularly the bottom of the board there, the leaderboard, may start changing the way that they kind of approach each game now. So we're going to head over to game number 5. Shayo, Sancho are ready and waiting in the wings. Boys, bring that energy, bring that hype. Let's jump in. Here we go.
Adam wants the hype. Sancho, I want to know the one word that associates with this tournament so far, these finals. We'll both say it at the same time, okay? On 3. 3, 2, 1. Unpredictable. Exactly. Absolutely, bro. Because it's,
we're on the same page.
Completely on the same page, but also because there's been a team to start the day almost close to getting 2 back-to-back wins, right? Controlling height.
Yes.
Doesn't usually happen. We have low ground Benji popping off. Love to see it. Doesn't happen this early. Thomas and us Flick, coming in the business as well. It happens on the back half of competition. That would be day 2. It's happening on day 1. And now we have a 1v1 with a Reason on the front street, in the driver's seat as well. Yeah, he's popping off too. You can't expect what's going to happen in these games. And it's been the craziest zones too. It's amazing to watch.
It's been an unbelievable ride, and we have 2 left to go. As you see, Andretta picking up a knock on Shizo. So that fight is kind of popping up, but I just got to say, like, what we're witnessing though is like so many styles clashing, and so many trios have similar styles. We're seeing some teams execute it better, while others are being much more consistent. Maybe they're just changing little styles and whatnot, but no doubt will work for Noah, Riley, Vidil, and Reason is that aggressive style. As soon as that they're done here, they're gonna take about 4 or 5 minutes. You see them like closer when it gets to zone 2 reveal. They're gonna push out to the coastline and look for Ingram. They know that he's there. They're gonna look for fights, and that dead side rotation, that was the key in that one. And Resguard, Scram, and Andretta, who did go down early in the, I would say, a mid game, understanding that they need this game here because they slipped down a little more, just a little bit, considering that they got caught out there in that southern area.
Getting caught anywhere on the map is just going to be so difficult, especially with how Surge is right now too. Scram picking up Mayhem, so now, I mean, I was going to say maybe these guys don't make it off spawn. They look pretty good with a full squad eliminated, or at least one of the trio of their enemies eliminated. They have control of Steamy Stacks. Meanwhile, what's this? How did this happen? It's outside of Colossal Coliseum, Sancho. Is this allowed? Is it part of regulation?
Hey, like I said, the little changes, the micro adjustments, understanding, we have been fighting so long in Colossal Coliseum. We've been going back and forth. It's not worth. Instead of getting Storm Surge tags in a box fight, we're going to go ahead and rotate to a prime spot right there, that tree that we all know when in-game gets there, gets chaotic. But there is a great spot. You get some great tags. Looks like Milo's trio alongside with Cisse and Nebs are happy with those tags, and now they're going to rotate and look for more tags on someone from Stealthy Stronghold, the Flopper Island, or maybe go down to Pleasant Park and sit there on that mountain. So a little change of adjustments, and this is a big change of adjustment. We were wondering where Egram was. He said, I'm sick of it, deal. I'm going to go ahead and go back home to Dirty Docks.
So it's kind of opposite day for this game, right? We've got contested dirty when it wasn't before. We have the Coliseum fight outside the stadium this time. We basically have EU with God Mental as well, which is not usually the case. It gets pretty fast and furious. But this time, as Reese mentioned, everyone really wants to stay in these games. They're stacked.
Yeah, and Thomas HC, when he got contested, thought the whole entire time in the heats, he wasn't contested. But then one game, someone showed up, and you know what happened? They popped off and got 26 elims. So this is still good for Thomas HC, Flick, and Nos. If they could get through this fight quickly, they're going to have that Storm Surge tag, so that allows them to make the rotations that they want to. And at the same time, they look for that height as well. So it's just going to allow them to play the puzzle of in-game versus being box fighters when it gets to mid-game. Because today has been a sign that if you want to fight early to mid-game, you're going to have a lot of problems rotating in early.
And in terms of fixing that endgame puzzle, I want to remind you, this is not a single player game, right? Look at the leaderboard. Not only does Flick, Anas, and Thomas HD have to figure out what to do right with their gameplay, they have to do it better than Vidil, No, Riley, and Reason. Amplify, Matzo, Benji, Fishy, Pink, Trulex, and Stompy who have that RPG. It's a 1-point game between second and third, 1-point game between fourth and fifth, and first is high and dry. This is going to be so difficult for the teams in the top 5 to break through and take the lead, especially when watching a Sancho, right? Reason, Noah, Riley, and Vidil look so good. They're taking fights by storm fast, and they're just ending them, taking position in endgame and just ending it. It's huge.
What's also interesting, because Thomas HG is being contested by Ingram, what happens to Vidil? Where are they going to find their Storm Surge tags? They've been taking those elims. They've been taking those fights in the coast, doing well. That means they could push the Septos and Wakey up north out there in Coral Castle. They could come down south and maybe find Paco and Raxo. But that ain't going to happen because we know they rotate early. So where does Vidil Storm Surge tags happen? That's the question.
Hey, don't let him push Kinzel, man. The man needs a little bit of a break. Last game, that zone was on the bottom right side of the map. He got 9 max zones. All right, Sancho, we got to give Septos a little bit of a breather. Let the man come back in the game. Don't kick him while he's down. Right now, these guys need to kick up too. Andalex, last game, going down to Surge. What's all that about?
I mean, we talked about. I mean, that rotation was in their backyard. So, right, you know what happened to them? Like I mentioned that they were able to walk away with the victory royale in their heat, coming from that same in-game situation. So fascinating to see. But hey, you said Kenzel needs to take a break, but these teams, they can't. They have to do something here and now.
It did something a game before, so this is one of the coolest stories in general that end up happening inside finals or inside, you know, trios in specific. There'll always be those middle of the pack trios that get to poke their head up, right? Get some growing pains, get taller inside the rankings. These guys have those pains right now. Their thighs got slightly longer, right, when it comes to Steady, Teak, and Cammy. But the thing is, are they done growing? They were at 30 points in the last game, just bumped up to 60. To hang with the cool kids who need around 80 points. They need to grow again. They need a second puberty. I don't think that's biologically possible. So I'm not sure what they have to pull out here, but it has to be some big adjustment.
And speaking of adjustments, Trulix, Pink Stompies, this is not where they want to be. They don't want to be on the outside of the zone. They're going to do all that they can to push forward here. So you talk about the growing pains. Right now, they have a lot of pains going forward, and they got to push through that pain and work together as a trio to get to what they want to be at center zone. Now, here's the first time that we finally get to take a look at the Kids Cantina for a brief moment, just showing you how so many trios are set up and they're scavenging and they're looking as much as possible to find vital Storm Surge tags. But when you set up bases like this, people also want that as well. And Teak, Cammy, and Steady have a lot of neighbors as well fighting for this great real estate where you could get those vital Storm Surge tags.
So are they playing a different game? It's like they've got one of their teammates, I think it's Steady, just driving around farming and putting down like some wood, like it's a base building game. They're not even playing Fortnite right now. It's just up to Teak to land all the shots. Everyone else is just on materials duty. That's actually hilarious. They're coming back again.
It's a retrieve mission. We all know, hey, we all gamers still at heart, man. And Steady and Cammy went out in the retrieve mission. The zone has been revealed here. And so that's what's always dangerous, though, when you set up so early. If someone knew that Teak was by themselves, then they would push Teak. So now you see Trulix, Pink, and Stompy. Their journey is not going to end at edge. They're going to do all that they can to get as central as possible, as you've seen here. And look, they have a long way to go. But considering that there's no one in front of them, they do have a team at Hunter's Haven. Look at those purple arrows on the minimap. That team is set up in the base, and they're pushing up closer and closer, and they're going to try to get rotational tags right here and right now. And can Trulix and Pink Stompy get in this car to get out of here? This is going to be big here. If they have to stop, that's going to be bad.
This is going through a valley, basically, of two different teams looking at them.
Yep.
I think that's Teak on the right side of that Snake's all the way up top, so they have to block the left and then block the right as well. It's a mad dash towards safety.
Oh, they blocked
Take a few mats. Oh my God, it's dangerous. But now, no more cars. This is just head-to-head, straight up. Once again, outside the Coliseum. But nonetheless, it's a fight in the arena. And is it between three different teams? Yeah, it looks like it almost is. One just spectating, kind of refereeing the match in the middle. These guys are like, what? Are we catching a halftime break right now? What happens? Aqua Raxo don't want to go up against Savage?
No, they don't want to. They'd rather try to get their tags on weight from people rotating around. Colossal Coliseum not only had those fights early game, but this is a good opportunity. That's why you have the four corners of the square taken up by multiple trios here. It's really nice. You don't have to worry about someone chopping you up. You get a decent, like, if you want to go back to, I guess, to Stark Industry, it's that big elevated mountain. It's not as tall as that, but or Polar Peak 2.0, you know, it's not as tall, but still it's a great vantage point to get all eyes on rotations.
There's like four different teams up here now. Hold up. Let me just hold my eyes a little bit further. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different teams basically on Colossal Coliseum. Interesting.
They know something we don't know. They've seen every zone. I mean, Zayt in the NA East, I've said this before in the broadcast, literally took screenshots of every single zone he's participated in FES and in the FNCS. And you know that there's people out there, the pros in other regions go, you know what? That's probably a good idea. And most likely they're already doing it.
Oh, I see what it is. Let me scratch off Colossal Coliseum on this minimap. It's actually called Cluttered Cul-de-sac.
Ooh.
It's just a space for people to base up, chill out, maybe start a family, but it's mostly a transitional point, right? Yeah, maybe barbecue.
Maybe
that's
barbecue.
The damage, right? Trying to get spicy off of it. We'll see exactly what they can do. One big thing about bunkering up at Colossal Coliseum is you also are basically forced to rotate with everyone that's there as well. We've seen it happen when the zone has to bounce from right to left. every team clashing with each other. I think I Drop, Tayson, and Savage might have some magnets in their pockets because there's always some teams, they're always playing just like this, where they have to keep someone beside them. They itch damage with them over and over again. We saw them jumping over Andretta in a game, and another game it was with Adil Noah Riley. It's always the team. This time it's 6.
Yo, dude, Savage is where Deadfire's house is. He's way over there. Like, that's how far they're split.
Oh, there's splits?
Yeah, they're
No
split.
way.
I took a look, and Savage is way out in the distance. So I guess they're going to wait for the Storm to reveal the next safe zone and see what's happened. But what is such an interesting dilemma that they have in front of them?
I like that because it's kind of a solution to being magnetized to every trio, right? If you have that space, if you control more space,
Yeah,
overall,
I see what you're saying.
You'll get more options, right? They'll be able to have a safe link over to Savage, or Savage will have a safe link over to them, and a better vantage point as well. You'll notice for Queasy, Paco, and Raxel right now, every team on that Coliseum is forced to look a certain way and have more control of a certain way. For Savage, that control is a little bit wider. They have more FOV basically to play off of. When I was Thomas HD and Flick, though, for some reason, congested still, didn't get to push way far away from Dirty Docks. They're hunkered down against the Steamy Stacks team. We know, Sancho, both these teams, God loadouts, both these teams want to make endgame. It's not a fight they want to take, but they might have to because of Surge.
Yeah, and Flick and Nos and Thomas HD, they did get contested, so they may be right in it, and they have Bush Ranger out there chopping down builds. So things are going to get quite spicy here. It's interesting. Let's see what ends up happening here. And Nos, Flick, and Thomas HD, they love to push teams that are looking for Storm Surge tags on mountaintops. And that, look at it. Look at the mini map. It's literally on a mound right now. That's why you have two prime teams who are very intelligent, love positional warfare. They know exactly where to be. And for the moment, they decide it's not going to be worth trying to push into this hard map base of Andretta. Instead, we'll get Storm Surge tags as down goes ZQ and CRR. It's going to be really tough for Leo to hold on this pressure on Nebs and Milo and Cisse.
This is just tough overall. This is a 22-point team fighting a 52-point team, and one of their best fighters is now down. In terms of story for the finals, if you are at these thresholds, 50 and below, this is that turning point game. You need to do something to push forward, to get higher in the pack, to be really focusing on those teams and see where they can actually rise from. There's always 3 or 4. Last time it was Teak and Vidil. Who will it be this time?
Leo on his last attempts here. Out. Converted. Lobbied. Tough out
nice.
here.
Buff up to 30. That is just tough. Just
tough.
Be hard stuck 52 as well. Like the mental there has to be very strong to play the next game too.
I gotta say, we're gonna get into an in-game situation. We've seen the interesting down south. Colossal Coliseum is here. Goes back to the days of the Authority. This fortress, you cannot break through. Low ground is gonna have an issue going through this. They have to go up and over. We've seen throughout the heats, the high ground has a strong opportunity, but at the same time, high ground may not be able to get a lot of beams going through it. A lot of congested area will happen. Metal tarps will have to go out, and those catacombs are just so difficult to pierce through on height if it ends up at Colossal Coliseum. Now let's take a look here at the zone here. Remember, 4 zones gonna get a little bit closer. A lot of people in this lobby like the fight on the edge. So far, a couple of trios are near the center. So far, I'm taking a look at the feed. Stompy is still up. So that Truex trio is no doubt most likely near that center. And like you mentioned, Shio, a lot of sand tunneling rotations will happen. Actually, Truex gets eliminated by X-Squeeze.
So X-Squeeze, that's a lot of different things are happening right now. Let me explain real quick. Squeeze will be good on Surge. We'll see this team walking in this endgame confident. Trulex down. The RPG possibly in X-Squeeze's hands. I'm not sure. Most likely, which is dangerous, because once that team gets tight, it's troublesome. Stompy getting affected at this spot still. If they're lower on Surge, Shadow Jerky might turn around, get some damage done as well. But we'll see in a hot minute. It's just the 3rd zone. I feel like the game's going fast, Sancho. Maybe I'm sprinting while it's just jogging. But we have a long way still to go.
And I gotta say, Stompy Pink, this is not where they want to be. I will say that as much as possible, making sure to tell you that they're not comfortable here. They don't like to be on the edge. They don't like max pools. They like short rotations. We'll see they're able to survive as a duo in this deadly rotation, as it has to go completely through Colossal Coliseum. Flick, Anas, and Thomas here, they're still in a very precarious situation here. Short rotation, but we're talking about a rotation with Andretta. That's not going to be easy. And then you have the likes of Nightfur, Patty, and Vino, who are very aggro players, they're going to push you as well. And look, Amplify, Matzo, Benji already getting that center of the zone. So now you know, Shayo, we talked about space control. Look at them. They're already building out just a little bit, no understanding how valuable that space is.
Dude, Rasgar, Scram, and Dreader are probably just sweating. They saw a team roll in and build with full metal on low ground.
Yes.
You're right, Sancho. That message is, hey, no one is getting low from us at all. And they're like, dang it. We are the low ground trio as well. We want to control that, and we're not going to be able to. Really good, though, for Nas, Thomas, and Flick. You heard Reese and Levin talk about it. These guys want to push for height. They want to be incentivized to do it, too. If they see a team on low ground, two teams even, they would not want to be on this lure by default. Maybe push up slightly, and then they'll look really good. They want to conserve mass right now, though, Sancho. So it's not going to have that big fight for height just yet.
A big factor for Nas's trio going forward is normally, since they get uncontested, they have all the time in the world to loot up, do those character quests to get power weapons. Right now, I only saw, I believe that was Flick with a blue tack. That trio it hits really hard, so they're going to be a little bit weaker. We see a lot of blue in their shotgun play, so they're not going to be able to hit full force power. And right now, they're being held out by that Vino, Patty, Knifer trio.
This is kind of like a rebound type play. They're kind of absorbing pressure to give Flick a god angle with a heavy AR to hit headshots. You know they come in strong, 80, 90 damage per pop. Not going to be there, though. We'll look at Yup, just on height. Looks like a squeeze and Lex. Surviving and thriving so far. Past that, Joe and Jerky right below them. Taking shots on a Miro, who also had a very good game just before. Clutching up that second. It was phenomenal against Reason, such a tough fighter to face, and they find the close range fight again. Look at that. What was it? Let me look at my stopwatch. A millisecond. You leave your builds open, and 6 different teams beam you. This is going to be such a hard game, possibly the hardest game to play from. Stompy opened his builds for even half a second and gets flopped.
It's just too much. Another close to max pull for Stompy and Pink. It's just too much to handle. They go to the dead side rotate, and they get caught by another team that's making the same rotation right there. Look at it. So many people all on that left side here are going to make their way to the right. It looks like so far, if Benji, Amplify, and Matzo, who made that investment with those metal builds in the middle, if they could go out into that orchard just a little bit further, they'll be able to have a strong position here. But the question, now that the zone goes north, that's going to be a good rotation for Flick, Thomas, and Anas, because now they don't have to go into Knifer. They can now make a good rotation. But again, Andretta's right near them.
What's your legacy for day one? What message have you put down on EU to have a stab at that $1.3 million prize pool? That's the question for a lot of people so far in this game 5. We'll see Flick, Thomas, and Anas moving around saying, yeah, we had one good game and a few hiccups here and there, but we're trying our best to make sure this next one's good. Fighting for low, though, that's going to be very tricky.
Flick is a very dangerous harper. He's not only looking for positions, but he's looking to cut off trios. And Stompy and Pink are actually alive and surviving. This is going to be big because remember, they are sliding already down with a 0-point performance. They're sliding down the board down to 11th place. If they could just hold on as much as possible, they have an opportunity here. Let me take a look at closer where they are. This is so much leaderboard change that's happening here. They're in 3rd place. So they were in 1st, they got a 0 point, slid down to 3rd. That's how important it is to get some points now that we're in the 17th place. Placements are doling out.
Flick is looking up to the skies, both in standings and position right now. Looking for a few shots on a Savage, not going to be possible. They're 82 points so far on this rotation. It'll go straight back towards the desert. Should be a few old builds to work with, but primarily new land to discover for a majority of the trios on this page.
And that's bad for Stompy and Pink. They came in late, and now the storm is, and the rest of the lobby is going to wash over them. How are they going to survive the brunt of the lobby that's coming towards them right now? We have to keep an eye on the feed, but we're going to keep a closer focus here on Flick, Thomas, and Nas here. And this is right here. The end game is where they kick up, and this is where they collect a lot of elims. But again, it's due to their power weapons and their ability to just get big time damage in milliseconds. One quick edit, one quick break of a build.
On the right side, we have Sunny Kemi Teak looking for a high mid-ground rotation. On the left, Miro right beside them. A complete mirror of one of the games we just saw before. Chapixen and Janice have height, though I thought it would have been Savage and iDrop, but it looks like they got taken over. So power switching hands. Past that, 15 cabbages available for that heal off, but with just a gold pistol, is it enough to crack and deal damage? I don't think so. You have to get a lot closer, and this is a very high tarp.
that, Chapix is all he's doing is opening up the door for Janus to send in the AR beams. Those pistol beams, you can sneak in those small bullets. They go through the cracks to build sometimes. But right now, Thomas HG is going through really fast, pushing forward. Someone's on their layer. It is Sniper Patty. They're going in, box time as much as possible. The defense is a little bit strong. They're going to try to find another angle, and they're just one grid away. They catch Sniper finally, trip him up and grab him by the ankles. That's where they want to be, amplifying the feed, getting Tayson and Savage. But this is what I'm talking about. Flick, Thomas, and Anas, you better watch out. They're going to start going Supernova. Now going up against Scram and Dreda on the same layer, looking for the cutoff opportunity. Flick is so dangerous as a tarper.
He's looking for it. Cut off though from the bounce back. Few missed edits to the pressure, really pushing down on the Flick. They're playing ultimate low, and there's too many teams here for it to be easy. On height though, clear skies. Tapix, Janus have complete control as one other player dips down and up to make sure all the mats look good. Benji and Amplify have to elevate up. It's too sandy down below. They can't find their footing, so they have a very good mid ground there. Down below though, Flick is fine getting dirty. 2 shots, Thomas finds another. Now with a big flip round, it's almost there. Flick is insane. Stassi goes down, Swag down to the zone as well, and Flick is high and alive. Anasto is the consequence to that. He goes down. It's a 2-man operation, but that's when these guys operate best.
Thomas HC as well picking up feeds. They are doing it as a solo performance, but they have so much investment here in the smoke round. Benji's right there. He sees it, and Flick goes with the layer switch. He has no business of that, but he has to be careful because he could get tripped down below. Only down to 5 builds here. Now down to nothing. Gets caught for a moment. He sees his partner out of the distance, but it was just too much pressure from Matzo trio. They are doing really well. Look at that rotation. Matzo leading the pack, but still, Height still has strong control. At the mid layer, we have Cherentos. But hey, Teak, Seti, and Cammy, another great performance.
Right now, Benji's trio's in second place. Meanwhile, Hen, Chapix, and Janus are looking to elevate all the way from fourth. Can they use high ground to have a foothold for first place in this tournament? That is the big question. Janus drops on all the way below. Benji is down. The Clutch Meister will not be able to clutch once more. Teak is hunting down Matzo. He does not want to let him breathe. It's not going to be possible with Cammy on the backside. Seti's there too. They're all diving in the same box, and Matzo gets the lead, and it's now time for a 3v3. Hen is going to be on height with Janus and Chapix. Down below, it's Seti, Cammy, and Teak.
Boom! Big slide, 116 right there. Big tag from Hen, and they're almost going to wrap up this nice victory royale. They have the cabbages at height, and they have the dogs down below. Actually, Hen gets hit. Can Janus? Yes, there it is. The connections are real. Hen picking up a 2-piece, and Janus picking up the Elim on Seti. You're walking away with, let me see, quick math, 11 elims and the victory royale, and a much needed statement to say they're still in this finals, Shio.
And what's that? It was absolutely clean, just like us, Sancho. It was nuts. It was such a good game all the way towards the very end. They held height, never got interrupted, got all the elims, used the pistol greatly, and won a 3v3 where everyone was at full HP. So really good game from them overall.
And also a great game from Cammy's trio. We've seen them before in their heats. They just find some way to be in the back of the pack, and they all of a sudden make the top 3, Shio.
Yeah, I think that was a back-to-back top 3 from them as well.
Yep.
So they're really finding their groove. But top 3 or top 33, we need to see the standings and the moments we missed from that game. So, Desk, what do you have for us, boys?
So clean, so clean. I love that. Love those guys so much. What an end game. I mean, as Shio alluded to there as well, you know, finishing a game out with all your teammates, full health, eliminations, you cannot ask for a better way to finish out a game.
Yeah, I know. We saw 3 teams really pop off there. We've already mentioned Hen, Janus, and Chapix. They had 11 eliminations and the victory royale, but one of the teams that kind of went under the radar there was Amplify, Matzo, and Benji as well. They popped off with 9 eliminations at the back of the zone. We saw them in that 3rd place, and then Cammy saying Teak. You know, these guys are starting to climb that leaderboard a little bit.
Yeah, slow start for those boys, right? I did mention the fact that, right, like they were in 10th when we last looked at the leaderboard. It looked like they were sort of maybe starting to pick things up. I believe they got 3rd place last game. So now sort of like just sort of picking up the pace a bit, right? We didn't expect them to hit the ground running by any means. They are a team that sort of like, once they get into their rhythm, they're going to be good, but they just need to hit that rhythm, right? So nice to see them finally starting to get a bit comfortable in the grand finals. And of course, the victory, our prediction, Reese, you know, it's good to see them doing well, man. It is honestly just good to see them doing well, finally starting to materialize into, you know, better placements in the standings. Of course, they started off hot, 3rd place first game. Now, victory, super great game and super great day for these guys so far.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we're really starting to see as well, you know, from the get-go there, the teams at the lower end of the leaderboard are the ones going out first. The teams that are continuing every single game now to impact it and get there or thereabouts are consistent, always up there. Let's focus on Janice, Hen, and Chapix for a second here as well. But this is a real dream trio.
Yeah, complete dream trio. And, you know, we talked about their backstory a ton, you know, like these guys playing absolutely incredibly individually. You know, Janice, ex-FNCS Invitational Champion, Hen and Chapix, when they started going together at the start of this season, they were unstoppable as a duo. Their placements say enough, even performing on NA East as well. And, you know, once they've locked together as a trio, these guys have not placed worse than 5th in a tournament. Not worse than 5th. So, you know what? These guys are performing up to the standard they're absolutely capable of.
Yeah, it seems like the team cohesion is perfect with these guys at the moment. That atmosphere within the trio is just sublime. You know, I talked at the top of the show about how, you know, they've employed a mentor coach, right? Somebody's going to sort of help them to, you know, bond even better, right? And it just seems to be paying off. These guys are in perfect harmony right now, it seems. And it's been like that essentially the whole season, like Reese alluded to. The fact that they've just been able to perform strength to strength in all competitions, it's absolutely fantastic to see. And I'm sure we will see them at the top of the league. Yes, we will. Spectacular stuff from these guys, man. If they can sort of continue along this form, the FNCS Championship is bound to be theirs at this rate. But let me not speak too soon. I'm getting a bit excited, Reese.
You're getting a bit excited after game number 5. But at this point, you got to remember, there are other teams in the running for it right now as well. You know, we saw Amplify Matzo and Benji's team only 4 points behind. My mental math is off. Really, really good. And their pretty much stats are the same. You know, both teams have a 6 average eliminations per game right now, which is honestly on pace with a lot of the guys who've won regions, be it either in the qualifiers or in their semifinals. So these guys are on pace 100% in terms of their fighting skills. But who's going to take that first place slot?
Yeah, who is going to sit there first? So we're not too sure yet, so we can't get too ahead of ourselves like I was. But what I will say is the fact that a lot of these teams who are, you know, sort of the staple names in the region now all starting to show up a lot more, right? Of course, we have Hen, Chapix in first, Benji in second, right? But nice seeing Cammy, Seti, and Teak in top 5, right? Vidil, Noran, and Reason off of the back of their win in the top 5 as well. Some of the names who we want to see sort of step things up a bit, right? We gassed up Andalex at the beginning of the show. Hopefully they can sort of find a bit of form because it does seem like they're having some struggles. You know, even the likes of, you know, iDrop, Taste, and Savage, you know, Queasy, Paco, Raxo, they had an amazing first couple of games and it sort of seemed to, you know, tailor off a bit. And so can these guys sort of get back to what we know them to be? It's always difficult, right? Because at the end of the day, when you have so many of these top trios, especially with like a lot of them having similar-ish play styles, there's not going to be a lot of like space for all of them to operate the way they want, right? When you have, if you have 11 high ground trios in a lobby, not all of them can play high. You have same thing applies with the sort of lower levels. So some of these teams are, well, bound to have struggles, but hopefully they can sort of reset tonight and come back tomorrow even stronger.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just the leaderboard there as well. You know, there are 4 points between first and second place. And obviously, Benji and his team came, I think, in the second game, got the VR. But we've talked about it a little bit since. But to see that they're consistently getting high placements and eliminations and staying there or thereabouts, anything's possible. Anything's possible right now. We've got one more game left. One more game coming your way. It's time to jump into it. It's going to be massive. Shio, Sancho, gentlemen, this is the one. Take it away.
We've seen the craziest things, water zones, aggressive rotations, off-spawn fights, but regardless, it's not done yet. Sancho, one final game.
Oh, man. But hey, we still have 6 games tomorrow. We were just talking about, what game are we on? Yo, games are going by so fast. The action's intense. The vibes are an all-time high. And I'm just looking at it and I'm like, thank goodness we have a whole other 6 games. And no doubt there's so many trios out there on their leaderboard saying, thank goodness we have 6 games and we have an overnight to think about what we need to do. And it looks like Egram's here again to go up against Thomas, Flicken, and Nos. Let's see what happens, because last time Thomas is seeing Flicken and Nos, I think that this fight kind of hurt them a little bit. You know, yeah, they got the Storm Surge. Yeah, they were able to get this trio out, but it slowed them down. It kind of like it kind of was a big roadblock, a little bit of not a speed bump, I would say a roadblock on their way on their rotations, and no doubt they wanted a better finish going into that previous match.
I think in the previous match, it might have been better if the zone pulled away further. and they could really slot in where they wanted to for the end game. With things being so central towards Colossal Coliseum, after the fight ended, they didn't get to dictate how to play their game. For Noah Riley Vidal, I believe they went out very early in that last game as well, holding towards that top spot. Yes, 22nd is when they went down in game number 5. If you guys haven't watched the finals, that's over 2 days as well, you might be thinking it's not the biggest thing, you know, to be first place in day number 1, to be really high in points. You can always come back in day number 2. That is a definite storyline or a definite way of thinking. It's 100% true. But at the same time, if after the first 6 games, you're playing well, you're in first place, you know your strategy is working, you're sending a message to anyone who's going to try to, you know, fight you off of spawn, you have momentum and a big pedestal coming into the second day. If you falter, the work you do today can save you. That's what everyone's trying to do. Flick trying to hit the sniper shot, not gonna work. You were wondering, Sancho, how does Egram's drop look over here at Dirty? They're just here to steal loot, and they'll take some damage on the way out. It's not just Thomas that can hit those snipes. But yeah, I didn't even realize this. They barely even get any surge, and they get half their loot stolen.
Exactly. Thieves in the night for the EU side of things. Now we're taking a look at it. Looks like the Retail Row boys will find themselves a llama if they can find it, but this is going to be a zone centered over here in the southeast side of things. So that means Alexis Trio is going to be able to go ahead and make a lot of movement. Maybe that's going to benefit them. They could go hunt the scavenger routes, but it just seems in this finals, the scavenger routes and the people at the Retail Row, even the people at Misty Meadows, they're just not finding their footing here with the Storm Surge. So that is what's going to be that we have to look out for going forward. It's going to be intense here, man. You want to leave, you want to put your head and your pillow with the good vibe, saying that you did it, and it's Flick is going to go ahead and finish this fight against Vox. They already got a snipe on Egram there, so that's going to be a huge factor going forward. Is now we see Egram is really low, had to dip it into his heals, only just above 100 HP, as Thomas HGs has another opportunity to set up the pinch here, but some Storm Surge tags coming from way out in the distance. It's going to make Flick just think about for a split second here, but now Keybold's on the back foot. Egram is down, and the trio has been wiped. I'm just waiting for Nas Thomas and Flick to go supernova, man. I'm just waiting for it. They did it before, man. And when you looked at that 26 elim, I know that's heats. It's just something we never expected. That sends shockwaves throughout the entire community, especially in the EU region. That's what gave them a free uncontested in the finals. The question will be as well, I know I have a lot of questions, but Vidal's trio, I think they really missed those Storm Surge tags. They really did, because they did not have a great game in that previous match.
I'll bounce back. I think the theme for the top 3 right now is just consistency over time. Everyone is getting a lot of points or moving through these games, or as a team with one big swing. Big swing teams I'm looking at right now, second place, Benji Fishy. Relying a lot on pop-off wins. Although you have 12 games, you might get more of them. If there's teams playing consistently, like the ones we see in first place, Han Janis and Chapix, like Flick Anas Thomas HD, your pop-off swing might not be enough.
You know, in pop-offs, that goes up, but there's also as well when you get popped and you go down. And that's what's happened right there with Pink's trios right there. Looking for an opportunity. They started off going into these last set of games of the day in the first place, now slipping down to 6th place. But that just means Pink and Stompy, they did a great job holding on as much as possible. Maybe getting a little bit of hero points just to keep them in that top 10.
It's always that first game, first place curse. Besides that as well, we're showing a lot off about the top 10, rightfully so. There's some cooler stories as well down below for people trying to make it up the rankings. Mr. J, the trio I think we're looking at dropping near Sweaty Sands and around the desert, as well as Miro, are very interesting trios to take a look at, because they're the ones consistently coming inside that top 10 over and over. Right. They're building themselves up to move higher in the rankings. Mr. J right now is at 9th, Miro in 7th. If you're talking about Supernova, Sancho, this is a star that might explode in this game.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, as well, we talked about consistency. Cammy, Seti, and Teak have been really consistent. You're talking about Seti being a DreamHack Duos Finals winner. You talked about Teak being a 3-time DreamHack champion. That consistency is ringing true for them here today as they're in 5th place. And we've been talking about every time we get to in-game, we get to that nice pan, we get to see them still in the low ground as a full trio. So they're doing something right. They're getting their Storm Surge where they need it, and they're not taking unnecessary fights. But this is what I predict iDrop Station to do well today. And I still think they're going to have a great chance of being a champion, right?
Still, you predicted I dropped Savage and Tayson to do well. Savage not alive in this last game right now.
Okay, yes, you great point there. The point I wanted to make is when I looked at them going into these games, they had very strong rotations. They were very aggressive. They used the Stanton, they used the crystals. They went to Pleasant Park. We saw them in qualifiers going all the way down.
But then what happened last game, right? They looked like they had height. They had a 5th zone advantage, a vantage point on everyone. Suddenly, when we tune back in, they're lost. They're not there.
And that's my point is I know they have it in them. They've done it before, but they have a day to think about it. And they still have this match here. And last season in the FNCS, we're seeing the explosive engagements, trying to get the Harpoon RPG and the Sneak in the build. Looks like Artox and that trio is ready for it. And this is the Misty Meadows trio going up to fight the Hydro 16. And
you were saying about Savage.
Yeah, what my point is about Savage was that they're the kind of trio that were super aggressive, right? But I think what they're running into is that they're seeing that the competition's a little bit stronger. So even though they can make these crazy rotations, they could try to fight for those Sturm Swords tag areas like up there at Hunter's Havens or Kids Cantina. They're going to be opposed by a stronger team. It's not going to be so easy. So that's where I see where they're falling a little bit short. We know what they're capable of. They have a lot of championship pedigree in them. As Trulix almost, Artex, dude, almost had that 100%, just misses here. This is going to be big. If zone pulls down south, Trulix is going to be very strong in this area. So I'm just interested. Look at this investment, though, right?
Nah, see, I'm actually on the opposite side of that.
Okay,
it's pulled down to this area multiple times. I'm about to speak some facts. He's had a chance. He's had a chance, but every time I tune in, right, the man's out of RPGs.
2 times.
I think it's been 2 or 3 times where it's south side. Maybe they're getting a little bit too aggressive earlier on.
Keep it going.
I think it has to be. You think keep it going? I think they need to tone it down maybe a little bit for these. For at least this last game.
I'm talking about you. Keep going.
Tone it down. Okay, true.
No, tone it down. Keep it going.
That's what I'm saying though. Is that like it's dope to have power weapons, but you have to be able to use them at the perfect and right times. And as you mentioned with Savage, right, with the elevated level of competition, that is so much more so difficult in these games. Having the RPG is dope, but being able to use it at the right times is endgame. And if it's the tool to get you to endgame, how do you play out those games?
Bringing in another layer to this conversation. We see in the previous season, Mongra, Mitro, and Tayson were able to have a big lead going into day 2. And that big lead was able them to hold on just as long as possible. Because when they got to games 4, 5, and 6 of that second day, they're kind of move up the leaderboard, hit a dead stop as multiple teams started contesting Stark Industry. So they had to go all the way down to Sweaty Sands to where Andalix and Janice and Exweez were there, and they slowed them down because they were in second place. And from then on, the first and second place, multiple matches show, like in the second half of that day, they only probably got 5 or 6 points between the both of them. They couldn't do anything. So this is going to be a big game for the Hen, the Janice, the Chapix, the Amplify, Matzo, Benji, and the Flickanos and Thomas HC. Especially teams that are below that second tier, like Mexi, Michael, and Verox, who are about 20 points behind that top 5. They need this game right here to say we still have a chance in day 2.
Okay, I like the idea. Let me spit some knowledgeable facts, okay? It's not potato to the last FNCS. I mentioned it at the start of the broadcast, but there is no power POI, so to speak. There's preferences, the power is now in the players. Yes, if you're in first place, if you're Janice, Chapix, and Hen, you're kind of in there, right? You're in the business, you're looking for a good pedestal. You're not going to be able to, you know, abuse a certain strategy or item to stay all the way up top. You're going to have to be very adaptable every single game with your gameplay instead of your loadout. So that's the tricky part about this FNCS. For Benji as well, first time he's been in the top 2 since season 11, or since season 11. True. I think that's chapter 2, season 1. So
that's right.
The big thing about today is that for players like Benji, who like to operate off of adaptability more rather than just following a very certain item meta, it's really good for you to move around and place in these games. Now, the issue is if you're in first, that means it's harder to hold on to. If you're like Mexi, Michael, and Verox on screen right now, 88 points, if you're in the top 8, having an advantage is not going to be as exploitable. You'll have to do even more. So It's going to be a tough ride for everyone, and that's why we're seeing a lot of, like, I don't know, glue stick type of rotations, a lot of sticky games. Because no one really has breakout moments right here. You have to play very, very personable and team-based, more so than item-based.
It's very tethered, man. Everyone has intelligent engagements. They know when to disengage. They understand what's on the line. They understand, look how strong the placement points are. Victory out 30, second points 25th, 25 points, third place 20 points, fourth to 17 you get doled out point per each advancement, but it's just showing you how vital it can be. And Michael Verox and Mexi now have to go dip into the hard mats here, as then now they're getting those tags here. When you make these rotations, teams like Hen, Janice, and Chapix, who have the eyes on you, could send down the beams, and they know they need this because 261 above is great, but they're not going to be able to go for a box fight here since they're sitting in center. But look at Stomping Pink and Trulix investing on the highest peak in the Fortnite Island.
Okay, this might be the change that's necessary, 100%. And we keep talking about game state, so I'll leave it at this to help you give a picture of what today kind of looks like, right? Definitely a ladder, and every team is kind of like a rung on that ladder right now. But for me, and what I'm looking at in this game, it's kind of like down below or in the middle. The ladder is a little bit sturdier. The higher you go, the less reliable the materials are. Picture like anyone from 15th to 10th place. At this moment in this game, they have like steel rungs on the ladder. The ladder is made out of steel. As we go higher towards the top 5 right now, it's made out of wood, glass, and twigs. One single elimination can flip it all up. Very unfortunate. So all the consistent players right now playing really well to their game. But if Hen goes down here, he loses first, drops all the way to 5th. If someone like, you know, Melgard loses a little bit of a game, he goes down from 13th to maybe 15th, 16th, or 17th, right? He doesn't move that much. For these high point teams, for anyone above 100 points in triple digits, this is going to be the most polarizing game of their match history so far.
In looking at their history, sometimes Hen, Chapix, they make that rotation, and sometimes they get caught on a snipe. Hen always is looking for a big opportunity to get an elim, sometimes gets knocked. We have seen that they, you know, Janice is able to reach into that championship solo performance and understand to survive just a little bit longer. You know, so that's what's they're going to be so dangerous to them. That's their obstacle. Can they survive together? Because if one of them goes down, it has to be Hen or Janice to be able to. And this is what's so dangerous as well. Like I mentioned, you go to a place where you're trying to play position, you're going to have to hit your shots. And if you don't hit your shots, you're going to face the trouble of the Storm Surge. And this is going to be huge. That's going to signify that team down below that they have an opportunity to get this. But I don't think anyone's going to go up here. I honestly don't know what this trio's plan right now is, considering that Zone is north of them.
I understand it. I get it. It's a very good vantage point to be able to deal damage down. The issue is there's only 2 teams next to them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right?
I get it, but I'm excited to see what they do from it because it's so different. You know what I mean?
It's like going to like a party that's advertised to be the best, but there's only 2 people there. Songs are going to be banger. You understand? Like it looks good, but is it a party with just like 3 people?
Hey, longest you're there, right? But at the same time, longest you're out of the house, right? And that's what they're having a good time. They're the boys having a good time out of the house. No one's at the party just yet, but you never know. The Zone could bring the party right to their front doorstep here. We're getting closer to Zone 4 here. Now you're seeing a lot of the outside teams being on edge. This seems like a tournament where a lot of players are playing this edge side. And like you mentioned already, glued together, glued for the moment. And CRR got there, and they have that opportunity to, that's what their game plan is, to send beams to people coming in late.
Sticky glue games from like 1 to 5, but like right now, I think the most interesting thing is that this zone line's not as organized, right, Sancho? We were looking at lines before. We were looking at school halls, kids going to recess, like some really, really strict lining up for every single trio. It's a little bit more clustered from what it looks like right now. You can see it on the mountain, right? It's a little bit more variance of where everyone's actually placed around. I think people are pushing more for individuality and maybe a presence of their own on the server.
Oh,
fast rotations too. CRR sniped again. The man can't catch a break.
I know that. Oh man, those are always dangerous when you look at their performances. They sometimes get caught. They always try to go for free rotations. And sometimes you go for that free rotation, you pay the toll. And if it ends up being a snipe, that's just going to further hurt them. I've been telling it all day, y'all. You know what I've been saying. CRR Trio likes to get in first and they turn and burn. And they come in second and last. As you see ZQ going down the feed, that's going to spell trouble for their ride there. But now we're all eyes on Reason, the Deal, and Noah Riley, who are doing their dead side rotation. My question is, where do they stand in Storm Surge? Because Engram's trio has left, and I have yet to see them take a box fight in their Elim feed.
You're talking about dead side. There must have been a doctor who kind of visited this portion of the zone because it's looking very much alive.
Oh, yeah.
Many different trios pushing towards the left side of the map. Look at this. There's not even a single portion, maybe the bottom right side, that looks dead.
I have a tale for you. If everyone rotates dead side, is it still dead side?
No, it's not.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It's like a Frankenstein zone at that point then. But still moving on. Blackie, DKS, everyone gonna box to box now. Vidil and O'Reilly have found their space to stay in. Still occupied, and they're what? 272 damage.
I told you. Engram leaving means they're going to be dangerous, and it's going to be a lot harder to be dangerous when there's a lot of eyes on your box fight. Look at this. The defense is real. One ramp stopped Reason, Vidil, and Noah Riley from getting some elims, and now the trades are coming back. Reason playing the price here. Blackie playing some shots. Vidil going down. Erkin and Blacken and DKS are putting some strong defense for the first time on the feed, and wow, what a strong defense that they're doing. But Trulix gets a knock on the backside, and DKS, the lobby is looking in. Paco gets one on Noah Riley. People that are not even in this box fight are influencing, and Reason is the only one left standing, but how long can he survive?
This might be the first top 5 team that we see go down in this game 6. Remember, for the top 5, this is the most important game to keep their seats at the winner's table.
Wow. I'm just shocked that Blackie's trio, who we haven't seen throughout the broadcast day, is the one that loses the entire engagement, and Reason still left standing.
They didn't even have their classic pinch there from Noah Riley and Vidil. They just kind of sent it full at the walls. Verox is also below 5. With just 3 people to go down, they might be able to out-heal this zone, but look at their inventory, Sancho. 4 minis just on Verox. 2 free slots. These guys have already used so much to get to this point. Can they even afford more?
Every shot ringing out from Verox's AR is big time. They need the clicks as much as possible.
You're talking about the party coming straight to the door, 100%. That mountain looks like paid off big dividends for Trulex. They'll be able to move straight towards a better spot at Caddy Corner, but they do have the high ground lead on the lobby.
I got egg on my face, and it's on the eyes of Pink's trio, dude. They told me, yo, we know exactly what we're doing. We've seen this kind of in-game before. We invest on the tippy top of the island. Let's see if they're able to hold down there, as you've seen Downs and Pablo there as well. So ETQ, yeah, it's another one. And look, they had to leave because Pink, but actually they're bouncing to the next opportunity. Okay, they're going to the next zone opportunity, and they're there, and they're going to send RPGs back to Teak, Trio, and ETQ. So they're not going to be able to bounce over. This is the power of the RPG, and they're executing it beautifully.
RPG is only effective at a certain range. I'm not sure if this is the right call to make. Because if zone does pull to that side, there's natural low ground there, Sancho. There's no point in RPGing this. 3 sent by Trulex. He's gonna use all of them here. He's playing on the 13-second 50-50. Depending on where the zone actually lands, they can't do anything off those rockets.
Trulex is the leader in this. He's the tarper. That's why he's been given the bouncers. He's the one that has eyes on height most of the time. He is the head of the snake. He's going to make a strike as much as possible with that Venom strike of that RPG. Flix and Benji are making strikes down below. They're doing really well. Verox is able to survive the Storm Surge. They're still alive. They're still being consistent.
And now every single placement matters. We've hit the top 17, and it does bounce back towards ETQ. So all that height pressure they absorb and they use to push further and further away from Trulex.
And Hen got knocked and eliminated in the feed. So it's up to Janice and Chapix to hold on true for that top trio.
Reason's still alive, though. He's all on the backside, moving to the max distance zone rotation. Close for him, but I'm not sure how much more he can sort of survive with an RPG right above. Trulex is still RPGing opposite height. They're making an alpha play to get all the way up top. They're cranking for it. Oh my goodness. And I think they have it.
They have it, but at how much mat cost would it be? What will the receipts say once we take a look at their builds? And can they hold on? And you're looking at the second from hype, it is Seti's trio, who's been here at in-game the entire time. Now we're going to take a look at their builds. They're looking pretty decent, but I don't know. They're going to need some help from the Storm as Benji picks up an Elim on Flick.
Flick goes down. That's huge for the top 5 in general. Trulex is looking for a seat up there as well. So this could be the game to get them there. Their reconnection was actually broken. Verox, one teammate down 2, has to operate off a duo. Leo getting a few picks. ETQ goes down. And past that, CRR gets knocked for the second time this game.
I saw that they're below Storm Surge at height. We have to take a look at that going further here as Anas gets eliminated. Reason is still on his feet and gets a knock on Chapix. Reason is clutching for the Vidil trio here, and Andalix is going, gets an Elin there. Chapix gets down and gets eliminated by Reason. Reason is going out full supernova baby.
He's got full HP as well to work from the bottom side of the zone. And Drena is now on low ground. Seti and T control the mid. Still Stompy all the way up on high. Storm Surge is not going to be a problem anymore. It's about the surge these guys can cause. The chaos off their shots and position. What is the decision they will make in this moment is the question.
Hen, Janet's, and Chapix are out. First place is out, so Amplify, Matzo, and Benji, who lost Benji. Now it's up to Amplify to clutch by himself. Have opportunity to end the day at number 1, and Reason finally goes down to Andalix.
And Alex is trying to find his way up. Third place team of Flick and Austin. Thomas HD also
Amplify's
gone.
out.
Amplify goes down fully towards the storm. Chulex and Pink though get knocked. Stompy taken off of height. It's Artox who gets it. Pizza with the 3K Elim finish. And they have control.
There's nothing like Pizza Time, baby, and Pizza Time has 4 elims, 7 elims total for the trio. Verox now the solo performance here with one elim there, has 16 builds, has to hold on, and Dreda is still alive in this fight. Cisse is doing well. Verox now on the low ground dealing with multiple people. Cammy's trio is still here, and on the backside, hello, return to sender. Miro gets knocked and hit right in the jaw.
It's all 1 for 1, so the real team play is yet to be watched. Up high, it's a duo trying to operate. No Ardit for this one. Teak down below with Cammy. Has Seti, so that's an advantage all the way in the mid ground. Top 5 situation, the Harpoon making sure the builds stay healthy, and no X Squeeze have to do it themselves too. It's a game of duos around one trio that might have control all the way down below. See how it ends up breaking down. Cammy's about to get into a big collision with Cisse. Tags. If you blinked, you missed it. He's gone. And now this trio has even more control to play with the lobby.
Cammy literally brought down that enemy down to their level and gets huge 2 purple tags here. This is the final game of day 1. There's still 6 games going forward. Cammy, Seti, and Teak have been consistently at the end game. Can they close out with the victory royale? It's coming down to these moments here, Sayo.
Here we roll. Cammy, 4 eliminations, 5 with Seti in total. Joe drops under the box. It's a huge finish for them to get. For the mats and the position and the attrition to survive. Seti is alive too. 2 trios and another. Looks like it's a 2v3 v1 right now. Who's the clutch individual? And can this trio make it? Cammy, slow, small edits. It's kind of chaotic, but he finds his way through. The heal game might be a possibility with just 2 fish. I don't think they have the Omega 3 to make it past this one. Interrupting an edit to go all the way up top as well. See some more. It's still a stalemate. Artox gonna drop down below. Artox gets knocked down by Seti, but trades. Pizza still alive on high ground. Big shots down below. Cammy has a med kit. Was it timed properly? It's gonna come down to the wire. It was. One more flopper to get as well. Can Pizza find him? He can't. And with position and just awesome low ground gameplay, Cammy wins that one out with 7 eliminations.
Wow, the entire day they've always been there at the end game, and they were able to get at the very end of this day a very important victory royale. Shayo,
it was a heel off that actually touched my heart, a heart off, so to speak. Right, that was very smart. And once again, that trio, I think, Sancho, the 3rd time they've survived as a team in the end game.
Yeah, it was a very treacherous one. There was a lot of mountainsides around. They had to go up a couple elevations, but they stick true to the formula, and their formula has been working out in day 1. I'm just interested to see who's going to make some crazy formula adjustments, throwing some variables in there, throwing some crazy plays like Pink's trio going to height so early. But man, what a finish to day 1, Shayo.
Yeah, that's it from me and Sancho West on the mic. We'll have more with the analyst desk to show us who's the captain of day number 1.
Cammy. It wouldn't be a British invasion with us analysts here if we didn't get a football chart in. I had to do it. I mean, what an incredible endgame there as well. It's great to see another team take the top spot there with eliminations to back it up as well. I mean, this is a great final game in this first day of the EU FNCS finals.
Yeah, great game. And what's funny is that actually reflected the heat that they played in, because they were kind of struggling a little bit. You know, they've not been struggling here. They were in 8th, so definitely not struggling by any means. But in that final game, picking up the victory royale with the heal off. And if you notice, Cammy intentionally took that tick to zone earlier, about 30 seconds earlier before that zone started to close. And then in that final zone, 5 seconds before the 9th zone closed, he pops the head kit, times it perfectly. That means he has also, with 2 fish left, an additional kind of 13 seconds of zone tick, which means that if no one has any heals, no one has any whites, he's just instantly won. And Pizza, unfortunately, had nothing.
Yeah, I love that from you, Adam. Cammy. That is wonderful. That's literally...
But it's classic. It's classic. I had to do it.
I love that. Look, those guys were incredibly impressive. They've been impressive on the day. Things started off slow for them, right? But then they pick things up, and that victory out puts them in first place on the day. Super impressive stuff from these guys, right? They have been fan favorites, to be fair, coming into FNCS, and I think people started to get carried away with some of the other big names who have seemingly impressed and have started to talk about these guys less, but showing why we should have them in our mouths. Look, less eliminations than everybody else in the top 5. This is a characteristic of this trio. They are amazing. They can get to endgame consistently, but can they get enough eliminations to, you know, be consistent and way up there in the standings? Not a big gap between first and second, but happy to see Cammy, City, and Teak in first place there.
Yeah, and all of the stats right now are telling us that this is the most competitive it's been. Last season, if you kind of switch the point system around to be the same as this, Mongrel's team, who was in that first place, would have had 184 points at this time. So look, currently Say, Cam, and Teak on 147. And on top of that, the difference between first to 10th was 118 points. And now it's only 56. So today, this top 10 is so close. And anyone can take it moving into tomorrow. Really, really close right now.
And then that is the beauty of the format we have, right? 6 games are done, and I'm sure a lot of people will be, a lot of the guys in first place right now, in first, second, third, they'll be thinking, I just wish it was over now so I could claim my prize. But there are 6 more games, and so there is a huge potential for things to sort of change up, right? You know, if you're one of these teams at the top, you're gonna have to continue along this form that you've had today. You know, it's not gonna be enough to just sort of tailor off now. You wanna sort of keep up this standard, keep up this level, but I'm not going to be surprised if they do, because honestly, like, the teams who have performed today, Reese, have been genuinely the best teams throughout FNCS for the most part, right? There have been teams who we've all been discussing as the favorites to sort of perform. And so this is genuinely one of the best outcomes you could have possibly had from FNCS. Just seeing all of these top superstar Titan teams showing out, showing up, it is insane.
And that's exactly as you said, what we're seeing. And, you know, for me, looking at Say, Cammy, and Teak, I was looking at them from their qualifiers and looking at them from heats, and I was thinking, you know, are they going to be able to perform? Because they had actually the lowest average eliminations of any team in their heat. So coming into this, oof, you know, I wasn't confident putting them in my top 10 slot, but they have absolutely performed. But, you know, looking at some of the other teams up there in the top 5, you know, we had Thomas, HD, Flick, and Anas. We've been talking a lot about them. They ended up coming 16th in the last game, but still had 7 eliminations. They're now being contested off the spawn by Egram's team. They ended up switching because we've seen that west side of the map. It's tough. It's very tough when you're landing near Rezon, Vadil, and O'Reilly.
Yeah,
it certainly is.
I was just going to say, look, you said, right, you were concerned about whether Cammy would be able to, you know, pick up the necessary limbs. Look, he said, when I asked him about it, he said, it's just been a bad day. It was a bad day, Levin.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a bad day. This is them on a good day, right? They can be in first place. They can be a dominating team. Talking of all the teams who've been in first place at some point, we've been victory out winners. Stompy started off the day hot, right? They showed us what they can do with that RPG in hand. And then over to the next game, Benji Fishy, fan favorite. He came in and stole the game away. Super impressive from him.
Look, at the start of the show, Adam said he's not going to be biased. I'm going to be biased. I love Benji Fishy. Like, that's it. That's it. To see them win a game and be currently in second by 4 points, I'm all for it right now. But we've seen Slender as well, game 3. You know, they picked up that massive game. Slender, Kiko, and Mosh. Remember, they had 14 or 13 eliminations at the time. However, they've kind of had like that one-shot wonder. They picked up that game, and their best placement outside of that is 18th. So outside of the game, they've not actually been able to get any more placement points. So hopefully, they're going to be able to pick that up in these next games tomorrow, change it up. But game 4, ooh, this was an exciting one. This was our 14 elimination win by by Rezon, Norali, and Vadil. And the aim from Rezon coming in so clutch, picking up that huge 1v2 for that victory royale.
Yeah, these guys have proved time and time again to their doubters. It doesn't matter what lobby these guys are in, they will pick up a lot of eliminations and they will do so in style. And talking about style, one of the hottest players in the world, two of the hottest players in the world, Pen and Chapix going back to back like Jordan and Pippen. It's crazy how these guys have just been just ridiculous, man. I've not seen anything like it. And then Janice being thrown into the mix there has just been a sentinel for these guys. He has been so instrumental in their success, right? They took a long time to find their third, right? Before FNCS started, these guys was hunting and searching for a third for their trio for a while. They cycled through a whole bunch of players. They even offered, you know, NA players to come over the pond and play, right? And so look, they've been searching, and Janice is that perfect player for them. And look, Cammy, final game, you know, they did pick up a lot of eliminations in the end there, right? There was a couple of situations where Cammy, you know, I was a bit scared. I was thinking, is he going to go down here? You know, when in doubt, purple tack out. You know, he was able to get out some sticky situations and they pick up the victory royale and first place on the day. So super impressed.
Yeah, you made some great points there, particularly around the way the table keeps moving. Like every single game, we had a different change in who's on the top spot. And that's what's so exhilarating about the finals. There's 2 days worth of action. There's day one, which is today, and there's day two tomorrow, 6 more games coming up. I want to ask you guys quickly about the teams that are in the lower end of the leaderboard right now. Those guys who are probably feeling very deflated, haven't really delivered today at all. They can go away tonight and have a bit of a think about their kind of the way they're approaching each and every game. What do they have to do to get back up the leaderboard? Obviously, things aren't working out the way they wanted them to. What do they have to do to get back into this, to try and get higher up the table?
I mean, you got to just assess today's games. You have time, you know, there's plenty of time tomorrow morning. There's plenty of time today. In terms of once the game's over, I suggest they rest. If anyone's watching out, take a rest. But look at the games tomorrow morning, figure out what went wrong, and adapt. You know, if you guys have a game strategy that works a little bit better, go for it. But, you know, and a lot of these teams who are contested are definitely going to have to potentially change up their drop spots, go a little bit somewhere else. But you don't want to change up things too drastically, because if you go for a strategy you've never tried before, could be tough. But I still think we're going to see a lot of those kind of early up drop spots change.
Yeah, trying up new strategies in the FNCS finals is a bit of
not the time, boys.
It's not the time, but
yeah,
look, I do expect to see some of these teams make tactical adjustments. It's necessary, right? If you're looking at yourself in the standings and you think to yourself, hey, look, we should be a team that's in the top 10 and you're not in the top 10, well, how do we get there, right? You know, what kind of adjustments, what went wrong today? Like Greece said, there is time to hit the VOD review, right? You know, of course, you do want to rest as well. Taking a break is going to be great, especially if sort of, you know, the mental's not there, right? If maybe you and your teams have had a bit, you and your teammates have had a bit of an argument, right? You want to just relax, take a breather. But for the most part, you know, there is that time to make the adjustments necessary to do well tomorrow and hopefully put yourself into contention for the ESRB Champions.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think as well, it says a lot about, you know, the pricing as well. Pricing's a big part of this thing. And if you kind of, you know, 20th currently, but tomorrow you could go to 10th just by having a few good games, that's a big difference. That's a big chunk of change difference by just simply having a slightly better day tomorrow. So you'll have to wait and see what happens with the EU FNCS finals. They continue tomorrow in day 2. After this, we're taking a short break. After this, we are back and we're starting from scratch with the NA East FNCS finals. It's going to be incredible. Levin, Reese, I have thoroughly enjoyed your wonderful British charm, your insight, and those smiles. Magical. But you're back tomorrow, 11. Reese, you're joining us on the NAE broadcast very shortly. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Big shout out to Sancho and Show as well. They're back later on. But for now, don't go anywhere. Very soon, NAE is coming your way, and it is going to be massive. Some of the teams, mind-blowing. We'll see you very shortly. Bye-bye. For now, we'll see you in a bit.
Reality log doesn't even matter. What's the point of recording these logs if you're not going to listen? We've lost control of the 0 point. Do you get what that means? You must not, because you're doing nothing. I've dedicated my life to the Order. I've given everything. And for what? To just sit back and watch reality end? That's not who we are. At least it's not who I am. Not anymore.